It's the Intergalactic Soul, the Honorable Brother, the Revolutionary yourself, Darius Lockhart, and I'm here to tell you to watch Powerbombshells every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern on the Fight Game Media YouTube channel. That's right, every Sunday at 1 p.m., and that's on time, every time, because when we stand together, what time is it? That's right, it's nation time.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 124 of Powerbombshells. I am Sam, that is Mel. We are just two broads talking about the wrestling that we watch, and we have a special guest today. And do you want to go ahead and bring them in, or do you want to also, well, actually, before we do bring the guests in, we saw the guest is about Mel's hats, and we enjoyed them all. There's a tiara, a cowboy hat. Nikki said a birthday hat, a birth anniversary hat because it was her it's her birthday yesterday.
You know, in a way, this is an anniversary hat because it is for the brewery's anniversary. I'm wearing it in honor of the brewery's anniversary next weekend, their 5-year anniversary. So that's but yes, I wanted to pop our pretty little, because we love doing the picture thing here, is that this is my new favorite local promotion, and I was able to reach out to the booker of this fine promotion that I've started to enjoy. So let's throw that up there. So
yes, definitely.
And then I'll let Sam do the introduction, and I'll do the bringing in, because Sam is so much better at this stuff than me.
Oh, well, no pressure here, right? And so we are going to welcome to the show our special guest, Cat Daddy Paul Bowser, and
the Cat Daddy! What's up?
Perfect. See,
welcome
to Powerbombshells.
Oh, thank you for having me. So how is everybody doing today?
We are doing amazing. We are very happy to have you, because I've been wanting to talk to you a little bit about the promotion, and I know that you guys have a big show coming up, and Sam and I love to endorse our local indie promotions. She's had 2 of her local promotions, well, 3 technically, because 2 of them are doing it together, but
yes,
in Charlotte, North Carolina. But we've had no representation from my area here in Michigan, and so
we had to change that. I'm glad Mel did. Mel was like, she was like, hey, if I can get him to come, do you want him? Oh, absolutely. We love supporting indie wrestling here, so we love giving platforms to independent wrestling, and so I'm so glad that you could join us today.
Thank you for having me. I see an Evolve shirt. Is that what you're wearing over there?
Yeah, I made that's in honor of the situation that's upcoming there. It's a little homage to the coming up time.
Fantastic. I got my El Generico shirt on here.
I was from before from 2016-ish to the pandemic, we made pretty regular trips to the Evolve, and we were at the Progress crossover, and I'm very excited about this weekend show taking place where it is, because it's close to my heart.
Fantastic. That's why I even named the show and the logo. I designed the logo. It's kind of a tribute to Evolve Wrestling. I got to spend a little bit of time with Gabe Sapolsky last year, who ran Evolve and Ring of Honor, and Paul Heyman's protege for the original ECW. And I was talking to him, and he goes, how come nobody's run this building? And I was like, well, I'm going to run that building. And then I decided to make it a theme event for kind of a tribute to Evolve. So you're going to see a lot of hard-hitting action. You're going to see a lot of great professional wrestling. Not a lot of garbage. No garbage, actually. So it's gonna be a good time. I promise.
That's what I like about the promotion, honestly. So, I'm new to the promotion. I was at the July 1st show, the June 1st anniversary show, and then obviously the Richmond Ruckus show, which is where we had a minute to chat, and I kind of got to know everybody there. So I've seen 2 shows, 2 venues, very good, really well presented. But talk to us a little bit about City Championship Wrestling, because tell the people that might be coming to this that follow me from the area that might show up or didn't realize that you're opening our building back up, because we love the people there, the veterans there love us. So
Oh, and if everything works out great, like I believe it's going to, we'll be back more than just once. So oh yeah, fingers crossed, definitely. It's gonna be a good
out for the chandelier, man. No, you gotta do the right kind of wrestling, otherwise you'll never be able to get past the chandelier.
Oh, right. Yeah, I actually did a tryout for Evolve back in 2013 or 14. I can't remember, but yeah, I was in that building, and like ever since, and then like 10 years later, now I'm running it. So it was, but yeah, this event's gonna be great. Got Timothy Thatcher coming in. He's gonna be taking on Freedom Ramsey for the City Championship Wrestling Heavyweight Championship. That's gonna be incredible. You've seen Freedom Ramsey at the last two events.
Yes.
Who defeated Andre Kabashi, and then he took on Lance Starr in a screwy finish of that one. But they'll probably get another match. I announced that in Richmond. Once we're back in Richmond, I'm going to put Lance Starr and Freedom Ramsey in that ring again. So it's going to be another incredible match. Got Isaiah Bronner, former AEW Absolute Intense champion. He's now the current Naptown All-Pro champion out of Indianapolis. He's going to be defending his championship against Zico, who used to be known as Karam. He was actually on the very first match of the last Evolve card there at a little.
Yes. Yes, I knew. Okay, I knew I recognized Karam's name. I've seen him when Evolve came was here in Charlotte. I saw him wrestle, I think, a couple of times.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah, that's another great talent. We have Paragon defending the Emerge Heavyweight Championship against King Kong Coleman, local MMA competitor.
Love
so
him.
That's gonna be incredible. Like I have no bones about that one's gonna be incredible.
Sam, Paragon's the one I told you reminded me of. Oh shoot, I just lost his name. A British. It'll come back to me. Kendo Nagasaki. He has this like Kendo Nagasaki vibe.
Oh, nice.
But he is like he's like part lucha, but also wrestler. Like he's really. And I got to see him at the anniversary show. He didn't do the Richmond show, but that's awesome because obviously this is going to be a stack card for this building. But
yeah, it sounds like it.
Lovely little lounge in it, and they love us. And so I had I don't know. Where do I go from here, Sam?
So was that was there more on the card than that? Because I know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead. Tell us the rest of the card.
So the rest of the card, let me go ahead and actually pull it up here so I don't have to guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, wait, you don't have it memorized yet?
Oh, there's too much for it to be memorized. Woo! So here we go. Gonna look it up. There we go. Of course, you guys can, everybody can go to Facebook, City Championship Wrestling, find the event. Tickets are available now on Ticket Tailor. Front row 40, second row 35, third row 30, general admission 25. It's gonna be a great event. I already mentioned the first three main events. We're also going to have a special attraction, TNA versus CCW. It's going to be Jackson Stone taking on Darien Ultra.
Nice.
Now, Shogun Jackson Stone has kind of been like out of the spotlight a little bit, but now he's starting to really find his own at TNA, right? And then Darien Ultra, he won the Puppy Pandemonium and that 2-ring 50-man battle royal. He's got all the momentum, So now it's CCW versus TNA, and I have a feeling Darien Ultra is going to do his best to take him out of TNA and take his spot, actually. So we might actually see a change there. I'm not 100%.
Wow.
Now, Paul, set up a show. What are you looking to do? Like, I've noticed that for me, from a spectator's perspective, from a fan perspective, one of the things I love about it. A lot of in-ring wrestling, not a lot of ton of high spots, not a lot of gimmicks, like a lot of technical, hard-hitting, sort of strong style cross, like something I tend to enjoy. But in your mind, like, what are you trying to present? Because I mean, I've noticed that you have you definitely have a booking philosophy going on. You're not just throwing out. We've had this conversation. We spoke with Darius Lockhart several weeks ago and talked about the fact that a lot of promotions are out there kind of throwing dream matches together, but you guys are trying to do something a little different than that. The Freedom Ramsey Kabashi story was that was a culmination of like a 2 or 3 year storyline that you had built there, like when he won that belt.
Oh yeah,
it wasn't just like a bunch of dream matches. You had spent 3 years building the head-to-head versus them. So kind of little peek into what it is like you're trying, like what you're building, what you're trying to present, sort of, if you can, if you don't mind.
That's a great question. So I'm gonna go ahead and just go behind the curtain fully for y'all. Y'all seem pretty smart.
Appreciate that.
Got a smart audience. So I actually put this together in 2021. And the very first match ever was Jay Abrams versus Freedom Ramsey. And that it's actually online. You can find it. It's on the first episode, I believe, of CCW. The first 7 are all like recap shows, and then from episode 7 on to like episode like probably 112, they're all original programming for the most part. So first match ever in CCW was Freedom Ramsey versus Jay Abrams. Jay Abrams didn't go for a pin. He just kicked the crap out of Freedom for like 10 minutes. And it was kind of strange why he didn't go for a pin. Why didn't he try to win? So the next match, Andre Kabashi decides to pay off his opponent, knowing that if Freedom could make it past Abrams, they would meet in the semifinals. He would have a beating on him, and he would have basically a bye because he just bought off his opponent. So unfortunately for him, Freedom did make it past Jay Abrams, and then unfortunately for him, he made it past him. And that was all the way back in June 2021. So all the way now, fast forward to June 2024, Freedom Ramsey finally got his shot back for that championship. And then there's so much that goes into it. So let me go back a little bit. So they had that fight all the way up until they had, I think in November of 2021, they had an anthem match where the losing team had to stand for the winner's national anthem. And then fast forward to August of last year when the championship was crowned, first ever champion was crowned. That's another thing we don't like to do is just throw on belts. You know what I mean? I'm sure y'all noticed that. People just be like, here's your belt, here's your belt, here's your belt. It's like, get out of here with that. So we do survival of the fittest. Everybody's got to qualify. Winner gets the championship. And it comes down to Freedom Ramsey versus Andre Kabashi. You know? And then here comes Ike Watts. Meanwhile, Andre Kabashi has had him on the undercover in the locker room, convincing everybody he's his friend. When in reality, he's just undercover for New Albania. Freedom versus Andre. Here comes Ike Watts. Bam! There goes down Freedom. Andre Kabashi, first champion. Now, fast forward a little bit to the tag team championship tournament. It's going to be New Albania, Ike Watts, and Jay Abrams. They're in the tournament. Who else is in the tournament but Freedom Ramsey and Ryan Mathias as a makeshift tag team. And they end up making it to the finals where they had having a dispute where Freedom picked his own partner, Mathias picked his own partner, and then Freedom and Jackson Stone ended up the first ever tag team champions. So Freedom was the first ever tag team champion. Andre was the first ever heavyweight champion.
Wow.
All that's been going back since 2021, and it's going to continue. And that's just a tiny, tiny, tiny bit.
That's awesome. I mean, I love it's been able. I've been using the YouTube channel to kind of catch up a little bit, but I do appreciate that it's not just kind of like you said, belts, match, as Darius put it a few weeks back. But yeah, the big Ryan Mathias, KJ Reynolds. I've told Sam about the Dub Club quite a bit. They are my new favorite local tag team. But yeah, it was just really interesting to me because you seem like you're really trying to bring it and now I also remember reading for one more quick time because I know you've got a limited time here, but I also remember reading that when you booked the anniversary show, that was the first super card you'd ever booked. So
yeah, I really went ham on it. I was like,
talk to me about booking a super card and like, because I mean, that was an excellent show and it was like 4 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, that was my first show and we were like, wow, this is like, they brought it. So talk to me about putting that together a little bit real quick.
Yeah, I just, the event before that was, I decided to do the world's biggest tag team gauntlet match in March for the number one contenders for the championship. And then, I was like, you know what? I want to try to do something different. Guinness, first of all, didn't recognize that as a world record and they suck. I'm going to say it here, screw Guinness, because that is a world record. And I looked it up and nobody's ever had 19, much less 20 teams in a tag team gauntlet match. So
we might need to run it back and get them on board.
That's what I'm saying. I even called them out.
We could start a thing here. We got your Twitter, we've got your Instagram, we've got your Facebook. We can retweet that. Let's get that going.
Let's do it. I even called them out the last time. I said, "Hey, we're setting a record." They said, "We don't follow that." And I said, well, "Are you kidding me?" I'm like, "You have tons of pro wrestling records." I'm like, "You just make up records." I'm like, "This is a record. This is a legitimate record, and you guys are ignoring it." Like, that's scam stuff right there. But yeah, so when that match, that show only had 5 matches total, because the 20 teams were in the gauntlet. That match lasted about an hour and 45 minutes itself.
Wow.
So that one was about five matches. So I'm like, you know what? So let me separate some. So let me give everybody just a butt ton of matches, right? I'm like, let me see what we can do with that. And then, excuse me, I had the 2 rings, and then I was like, you know what? We got the Battle Royal coming up. Another thing I've never seen before is 2 matches happen simultaneously. So where the winner of each match wins for the first time. So I was like, all right, cool. We're doing that for the first time ever. And then yeah, just like I said, I just went ham on it. I just booked all the matches I could. And if you break down those 2 matches that happened 2 at once, that was technically, I think it was like 17 or 18 matches that night. Wow. So yeah, we're just going for it because it was just more like, you know what, this is what we have to offer. We know you're gonna love it. It's almost like a super sampler platter. You know what I mean? Like this got all the food, all the wrestlers on it. You know? Yeah, we even had some people come back. Like had a cat named Jason DeMilo. He's based out in Colorado right now, but he came back for the 3rd year anniversary event. Got a debuting Mr. Kilmore. Mr. Kilmore was there. He's a new cat. Got a bunch of new people. Yeah, the idea behind the super card was just to go, like I said, just go ham. Just let's go for it, you know. Let's not have 5 or 6 good matches. Let's just try to have 17, 18 good matches. Just bam, bam, bam. And then it was almost like no letting anybody up. And then so yeah, that was kind of the mentality behind that. It was just like I said, I was just going for a big show. If you want to equate it to anything, you could probably equate it to like a WrestleMania, like 12 or 13, you know, like we're back in the day when they used to have like 14, 15 matches. Mm-hmm. Like that was really the goal for it. Yeah, that's pretty much it as far as that goes.
When you book a show like that where it's that many matches, does that change? Like, so is it basically like booking 3 matches? I mean, 3 different shows into just one show? Like, does it change how you book, how you would normally book?
Yeah, because there's a flow to things. I'm sure y'all. It's like watching wrestling, big wrestling fans. There's a flow to it, you know. You can't have your pedal to the metal like 24/7. You got to let it off.
Right.
So therefore, you know, that's when you find you know, you're I don't want to say lesser than wrestlers, but you're wrestlers that need their reps and they're really working hard and trying to make it. You know, it's like slide those guys in that spot. That way they can get their reps, and then if it bombs, no big deal, because then you're just bringing it down to have another good match after that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, it's a little bit different. It's not quite like booking like 3 shows together. It really got its own animal, really.
I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, it's completely different. Like this one I got coming up on the 19th. We also got like Leela Hall versus Rory Shield. That one's going to be fantastic. Leela Hall was actually on the 3rd anniversary event. She teamed with I'm blanking on their name. Angel of Death and Devin Riker. Grim Reality. She teamed with them to take on Killer Instinct, and originally it was going to be Max Rain. She couldn't make it, so Ricky Morris stepped in to team up with Killer Instinct. Killer Instinct's out of the Wisconsin area, so they're pretty rad. They're all right.
Who's the gal in New Albania?
What's up?
Who's the gal in New Albania? What is?
Who, the Duchess?
Yes, that's it. Thank you. She's great too. I watched one of your 3 out of 5 falls matches and appreciated the fact that one of the falls went to the ladies. I think you treat your ladies with a lot of respect. You let them wrestle too. So I appreciate that a great deal. New Albania is like one of my favorite heel factions out in indie wrestling right now. I love them. They are fantastic, but I just thought I'd throw that out there because we are big advocates, and there are women on that I was telling Sam about that are really fun, and they get
You'll have to
time
see that.
on the well, they get time on the card, and in the matches they did enter. It was an intergender match, so I mean,
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad to hear.
Or a
that.
mixed tag. I don't know, whichever you want to.
I usually like to go mixed tag. That way you kind of keep people separate, so you don't get weight disadvantages and height disadvantages and strength disadvantages.
Well, and it is a family. I mean, you do guys still kind of keep it. It's not. It's family oriented in the right way, as my friend and I like to say, is that it doesn't skimp on the wrestling, but it's still, you can still bring the kids and they can enjoy getting healed on by the
oh yeah, the one kid's it was like one of the first events that we did at Lance Cruz High School in Harrison Township. One of the kids brought a sign that said, "I prefer New Montenegro." I was like, "Whoa, what a deep cut!" I'm like, who the hell came up with that?
I love the kids. They're great. All right.
Oh, they're fantastic. But yeah, speaking of the women though, Leela Hall and Rory Shield, I guarantee that's gonna be one of the matches of the night on the 19th. So they're both spectacular.
She's great. I mean, I've seen Leela wrestle twice now. She's great. She's got a lot going on.
And she's only under a year in.
Wow.
Yeah, that's someone told Ryan Mathias is like 2 years in.
Yep. A lot of
you got some good talent, dude. You got a stacked roster.
There's a lot of the guys I actually so I'll give you a little background on myself. I started in 2009 with Truth Martini, and then he taught me how to train people in about 2010, 2011, like not too long after. So then I ended up training a lot of people. And then, I ended up getting a Ring of Honor match, and tried to start up another company in 2018. Didn't go too hot. It was Macomb County Championship Wrestling. Got into it with some bad business partners. That went real fast. And now we started up City Championship Wrestling, and it's just game, and then a lot of these guys do come out of the House of Truth Wrestling School, which I can't recommend enough if you're ever going to get trained, like to be a pro wrestler. Like this is the spot that will cover everything: in-ring etiquette, charisma, the look, everything you need. It really is the best pro wrestling school, I believe, out there. And Ryan Mathias and KJ Reynolds both came out of there. I didn't train those two, but they both came out of the school. They were there after me. They're going to be taking on those effing guys.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, for the it's going to be the number one contenders for the CCW Tag Team Championship, and it's going to be for those effing guys Chicagoland Tag Team Championship.
Oh, nice.
So got championships from two different companies in Indiana. Got the top company in Michigan, City Championship Wrestling. Suck at everybody else, and then.
You're Michigan.
Yeah.
You're getting the full
Love it.
And just in case anyone needed a reminder, especially Sam, because it's her favorite thing in the whole world, the current City Championship Wrestling tag team champions are your favorite Motor City Machine Guns.
I have heard. That's awesome. It's so cool.
Yes, they just captured that tag team championship by defeating the Dove Club on June 1st.
In a spectacular match. One of the best live matches I've seen in a long, I mean, it was like, this is an indie show. Thank you. Appreciated that one, by the way. Really appreciate
to have somebody like Motor City come in and not only win your titles, but they're wrestling with, younger talent. There, obviously, it seems like we've heard a lot about Motor City likes to work with younger talent to bring that in. But what is it like? And I know obviously they're, hometown guys and things like that. But what does it mean for them to want to be involved in your promotion and to work with your talent?
Oh, it means a lot. Guys like them, guys like Rhino, now Timothy Thatcher's coming in. To give you a little peek into the future, Rhino will be challenging either Timothy Thatcher or Freedom Ramsey on August 24th in Allen Park.
Oh, wow.
And then, all those guys are just great. And the fact that they bring credibility to the company, and the fact that they're willing to help out with the younger generation. And this is what I always try to tell people, and this amazes me, is you'll see so many people with bad attitudes out there. And then you talk to a guy like Rhino or Alex Shelley or Chris Sabin or Timothy Thatcher. or other vets that actually have done things. No attitude, the best people you've ever met.
Right.
Like there's a reason why they've made it, you know,
Yeah.
and that type of attitude that they bring to the locker room, just it's so uplifting. I don't even really know how to put it into words other than uplifting. It's like it's good for morale.
Sure.
It's phenomenal. Those guys are great. All the guys you just mentioned are phenomenal. Like those are the pros. I'm telling you. Like,
Definitely. That's who
that
you
our guys
want
aren't
your
pros. Go ahead.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. That's who you want your wrestlers to not necessarily emulate, but like just having that, see how they carry themselves and conduct themselves, at all times and backstage and in the ring, and how they've been because they've all been in the business for decades now. To see that and to see that kind of, and that is the attitude that you want them to have, and like you to succeed in wrestling, it should be more that type of attitude than a bad attitude, as you were saying.
Indeed. Yes, that's exactly it. And then that's another thing, like I like to think that separates us from the rest, is that we don't just go out there and send guys into the ring to do whatever. Like we have coaches in the back, and we have a few other I call it the secret sauce that nobody else has, and that's why you see the difference between City Championship Wrestling and other local independents, especially in the area.
Yeah, so, I can imagine.
Yeah, it's just I hope I answered your question.
You did.
You definitely did.
You did.
Yeah, we got to see even as we were going to Ireland, Rhino was in the airport with us wearing a Rhino for President shirt. We were like the only people, and we were like cross paths with him. I've seen Rhino at virtually or almost every, I want to say 85% of the wrestling events I've been to, whether it be a WWE show or an independent show. I love, like, that guy's everywhere. He is he is such a, like, he is a fan too. I think he's just, because when you think it's when it's near in your heart that deep, like you, but that's, I love that. When you guys were here, the promoter of, because and the Puppy Bowl, just like for some context, all the proceeds went to a local animal rescue.
That. That's so cool.
Over $2,600 raised.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
And it was really just one of our local owners he's a wrestling fan like me, and he wanted to do something good because he wants to do as much good things for animals as possible. And the fact that you guys it was just like such a great thing. And I heard rumors the town's trying to get you back early next year. So, and I will be definitely going to those city meetings. But
oh yeah, we'll be back.
Excellent. I love to hear it.
It's another team. We'll segue real quick back to the event.
Sure, absolutely. Go ahead.
Please.
Another team that was there that made their debut on June 1st was Warhorse. It was Pat the Bruiser and Crosshairs Kelly. They're, I believe, from Kentucky area, and they're fantastic. They've been all around. They're a big powerhouse tag team. They're going to be taking on Lycan Alex Lynch and Jack Delaney, another couple youngsters. That match will be it's going to be a good tag team match. I think you're going to be really impressed. I really do. I really, really do. It's going to be, that one's going to be spectacular. And then one of the ones I'm looking forward to the most is a grudge match with relaxed rules. It's going to be Lance Starr versus Jonte Keith. So Jonte Keith cost Lance Starr the championship in Richmond when he forced a disqualification by interfering. And then on June 1st, they had a spectacular singles match that Jonte at the end, I guess he just didn't have the sportsmanship or whatever you want to call it, because he jumped Lance, and it was a mess. And then you can look online. There's videos of these two going at it back and forth, calling each other out. Jonte looked like he tried to run over Lance at his bachelor party.
Oh gosh!
Oh my!
That's up to you guys to watch the video and judge yourself. That's what it looked like to me. And
I'm not saying what happened. I'm just saying that's what the video says.
That's what I might have seen.
That's how I interpreted the video evidence.
Exactly. I'm not saying what happened. I'm just saying that's what I thought I saw it. And then that one's gonna be that one should be pretty brutal, actually, because those two do not like each other. You talk about people who started off friends and then all of a sudden, like, I don't even know what happened to those two. Like, honestly. like 8 months ago, Lance Starr was like, "Hey, do you think you get Jonte in the company?" And I'm like, "Sure." And the next thing you know, they're fist fighting with each other. It's like, what
Oh
the?
God.
Well,
Sounds like somebody has some ulterior motives for get him in.
That's what it sounds like to me. But we'll find out what happens with that relaxed rules match. That one should be pretty damn good. I wouldn't be surprised if you get a couple swollen up eyes, maybe a fat lip, broken nose in that one. That one should be oof, that one should be one. And there's do you guys know about you all know about the Spider?
I know about spiders. Sam does not probably know
No,
about
I don't
spider.
know.
Okay,
The spider.
Yeah, the Spider, THEE Spider with a Y.
Yep.
He has a great mini documentary out.
Oh,
If you get a chance to check it out, it's only about 11 minutes. It's
Okay.
Fantastic. This made me, not just me, a bunch of people like appreciate him more on what he does as a human being, much less a pro wrestler. I don't want to spoil too much, but the dude really went through some heartaches, and he's got some. It's spectacular. It's a mini documentary on the Spider. I believe it's called The False Finish. It was pardon me. It was on not Cannes, the French Film Festival, but Cannes, CANS, in Grand Rapids Film Festival, where they donated cans of food, and it's going to be in another film festival soon. Won third place in that one. Like I said, it's only 10 or 11 minutes. Spectacular. Like, it's really
Sounds
good.
great.
Like
Yeah.
if people watch this and don't become a fan of that guy, I legitimately question your worth as a human being, because he is just like, it's like you watch this and you're like, that guy. Like,
yeah, agreed. I gotta agree with Gray there. He is wonderful, and everyone likes him. The kids love him. The adults love him. Like, he's got a lot of charisma. He's got I don't know. I don't want to compare people. I don't like doing that. It's just, he's got his thing going. So I'm definitely going to check that out, because he's definitely one of the people that I've seen him twice now. He was fortunately at both shows, and
is that where can we watch? Is that on YouTube? Is that where they can find
that one's on YouTube. I'm actually going to look right now while we're talking. I'm going to type it in. I believe it's called The False Finish.
And if it's not on your thing, we'll put it, we'll get a hold of that link and go ahead and retweet it from our Powerbombshells accounts for everyone in the chat.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Yeah. So it's called The False Finish of the Spider short documentary. And it's under the account of Jacob Wilkins. He's a young documentarian who put this together. Really talented. Trust me, like, if y'all don't become you'll become a fan after watching this.
You'll become a fan of him anyway. He's cool. He's really cool. That makes me excited. He's good. That's awesome. I'm really excited for that. He's great.
He's writing that name down now so I can find
THEE
later. THEE. Thank you.
SPYDER.
Yeah, I got the Y. Okay.
But it's two E's. It's THEE. It's one of my favorite things to do. There was a guy out in Seattle who was a radio DJ, and he was always called, because his name was Ted Smith. So he called himself the Ted Smith with two E's, and I always love that. So anytime I see that, I'm like, this person definitely has the right sense of humor and has the right sense about him. I can't wait. Thank you for putting us onto that.
Oh
yeah, for sure.
That'll go perfectly with what we've got going on next week.
Yes.
All right. Well, let me put this poster back up there real quick.
Yeah, but Spider's actually going to be taking place in a six-man tag team grudge match. It's a team that I dubbed the All-American Detroit Spiders, which is the Spider and Detroit Dynasty, Dave Weston and Abdul Hakim, taking on New Albania, Andre Kabashi, Ike Watts, and Jay Abrams. So that should be something. So that's almost a little miniature rematch from the 15th in Richmond. So where we had New Albania, Ike Watts, and Jay Abrams defeat Detroit Dynasty, Dave Weston and Abdul Hakim, and Andre Kabashi defeated the Spider on June 15th. And now they get a chance to redeem themselves 3-on-3 style. So that should be a hard-hitting, fast-paced, action-packed match.
And then also
we have these two cats, brand new. Starman Harley Rock and Joseph Antonio Guerrero. Now, they were both on the June 15th event, and I think they were both on the June 1st event as well. And these guys, these are young, up-and-coming, hungry guys. And this match will be something else. I guarantee it. I guarantee this match is going to be something else. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 matches right there. And I'm going to drop this on you. We got Roddy Suavino taking on Asian Gaines. I don't know if you're familiar with those two, but
Nice. Will be.
They're okay. Asian Gaines is a former collegiate wrestling champion.
Nice.
And Roddy Suavino is a former, I believe he was a collegiate wrestling champion too. So this should be something. Yeah, this should
probably
be
our friend JD Oliva would know them. No, up them.
probably.
Yeah, here comes my horn.
I hear. That's all right. They're excited for the show too.
I know. Well, I mean, they always are. It's the Richmond Volunteer Fire Department just can't help themselves. They're like, yes, see, we were once a part of this, and we're going to continue to be a part of it.
That's excellent. And then I got a little bonus match I threw up there.
Oh,
People were complaining on the internet. You know, who would have thunk it? People complaining on the internet.
yeah.
So I
What's up,
decided
rarity?
to let them put their money where their mouths is, and I booked a hardcore guy versus a hardcore guy in a traditional wrestling rules match, though. Not as hard. They have to
Turn
wrestle.
the tables on them.
Damn straight. Little whiny bitches they are. So, and then we're going to shut them up, and we're going to show them why pro wrestling is, but I'm going to reveal those two the night of the event. I'm going to mess there. So they will be hooded. They will be covered up. I will reveal them in grand fashion, and everybody will watch how they can't wrestle.
That sounds fantastic.
Damn straight. So, yeah, the 12 matches. 11 in that. I don't know if you really call that one a match. So, 11 in that one.
You heard it here, people.
You did. I said
That is a quality card, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Out of such an awesome venue.
The venue's incredible. The owner's awesome. The
The veterans that hang out in the lounge freaking love us.
yeah, I actually went down there last month to chit chat with them. Yeah, just great environment, great building, great people, just everything you want.
Well, we asked them once. We said, what do you think about the wrestling shows? And I hope it stays this way, and I think it will because I've seen the crowds. But they said, "Oh, we love the wrestling crowds. You're always so polite. You always clean up after yourself. You always take care of the venue, and you're just so passionate about." It's like a lot of times it's the same thing we all get as wrestling fans. Is I don't necessarily understand the thing that you like, but you're so passionate about it, I can't help but be excited with you. So, but it's really cool because a lot of the old guys that hang out there that are obviously members because it's a Knights of Columbus Hall, they really are like, oh, they're our favorite. We love booking you guys. Like, you're our favorite. So we just keep up the good work. They'll let us there forever. I'm so glad someone is booking this building. It's one of my favorite buildings in the whole metro area. It's such a great building.
Great venue. I'm
so good.
And then we're also going to have an appearance by Midas. Familiar with Midas? He's a newer manager on the scene. He actually managed his first match in Richmond on the 15th, and then
okay, yes.
Then he turned on his client who lost. So I don't really know if he's an upstanding individual or not. We'll have to wait and see. But he has teased that there may be a new client of his that's going to be there on the 19th. We'll have to wait and see on that.
Very interesting.
And then of course I'm going to be hosting as always. That's what I do. I like to keep the mood light. I like to keep it up, get everybody excited, and give them some wrestling.
Yes, love it.
Tends to MC it. It's very fun. It's an excellent show.
Very cool.
All right.
Thank you. And just like I said, it's going to be a good time. It's going to be probably and not probably, it will be. And I like to say this, and it's the absolute best in Michigan. It's not even close. And if anybody doesn't like it, then they can suck it.
There you go.
All right.
So, you got any more questions?
I think that's good. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you. Yeah, I wish I was in Michigan because I would go to that show. It sounds like a lot of fun. So eventually, when I make it up there to visit Mel, I'm gonna have to make sure I check out
Oh,
the
we
CCW
will.
show because it sounds like a ton of fun.
Well, and then thank you for the compliment. I hope you can make it up as soon as you possibly can, because also a little bit of breaking news here, as nobody knows this yet, but on August 15th we have a new venue to return to weekly shows.
Oh, cool!
Oh, wow!
This time with the studio audience, not just a closed set.
Wow!
Oh, wow! That's really cool. Awesome. I didn't even know that was a thing. I'm very excited.
Yep. So we'll be presenting new episodes every week, and then we'll probably be putting out I'm working on putting out these last couple events on like Vimeo or whatever it's called, for like an on-demand. And then the Ruckus in Richmond is actually available on YouTube from the local cable provider.
Yeah, because our local cable channel does stuff like that. All the events that go on, like in the odd and stuff, it shows on our. We have a closed circuit cable station.
Very cool.
Oh, that's fantastic.
It's so cute. I haven't had one since I was a kid. I'm back in a town that has one. It's hilarious. I love it.
Oh, well, hell yeah. We're working on a lot of stuff. So if everything goes according to plan, you'll be able to see us in your local cable station every week.
That's so cool.
So, yep, looking forward to it.
Well, we appreciate you joining us, and I hope that the weekend goes excellent. Oh, good job. Thank you, Brad.
Who's Brad?
You'll love it. You won't regret it, I promise.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. I got you.
Yeah, Brad, sorry. Yep. one of our regulars that's here supporting us every week and supports indie wrestling as well as Major. He's in New York, but he has followed you on all of the socials so that he can keep up with what you guys are doing.
Oh, that's awesome.
We love sharing our independent media or our independent wrestlings.
Yes, definitely.
All right. Well, thank you for all of the time that you have given us today.
Definitely. Thank you.
And looking forward to the show, and keep up the good work.
Will do. You all keep coming out. I'll keep putting them on.
Sounds good.
Right on. Have a great day.
Thank you. You have a great weekend.
You too.
Yep. And Nikki said that she really enjoyed learning about the promotion, and we'll make sure I followed them on Powerbombshells Twitter while he was talking, and I got to put it up on the Instagram, but we'll make sure that we can tweet out the links for you as well. That way, so we know, as we've talked about before, most people are not writing down links while they're watching the show, since they're not clickable here, but we will make sure that we put it on our social media so that you can easily follow them. But since you are here on the YouTube channel, when you get done with this show, make sure that you go follow City Championship Wrestling and subscribe to them so that you can support them, because as we know,
they do a lot of their stuff on Facebook. They tend to go to the Facebook, but I'm sure that once we start elevating the Twitter, that they'll put stuff there too.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we'll make sure we link.
I think it's about use, and they just get here in the local area. A lot of businesses local use Facebook as their kind of websites.
Yeah. Yeah,
which is totally understandable considering.
Well, you want to reach people wherever they're at. There's people all over the place, so definitely.
It's a small area, so it's perfect. So that's. But also, their YouTube is a really great resource, because that's how I got caught up before the anniversary show, and that was a lot of fun, because obviously Motor City was cutting promos on Dub Club, and it was hilarious. They're Sabin and Shelly, and they do what they do.
Yeah.
So.
Speaking of them, they wrestled each other Friday night at Prestige, and Prestige put it up for free on YouTube Live. Well, I mean, you obviously can watch the replay, but so I watched it. I was on SmackDown duty, but like SmackDown had ended, and of course, and so usually I flip it to Rampage and continue writing whatever I need to. And so I was talking to them, and because we had talked about Motor City. Oh, we talked about Motor City because DIY, who are now the tag team champions, they defended their titles and immediately got beat down by Jacob Fatu. And I was like, that's quite an interesting message to send when you're trying to recruit.
Yeah,
one of the best tag teams in the world is you can defend your title and then immediately get beaten down by Jacob Fatu. And so we were joking about that. And then And then so I told him, I was like, oh, by the way, speaking of Motor City, Saban and Shelley are wrestling each other at Prestige, and it's free on YouTube. So myself, another writer, and an editor, we all watched Prestige together and like finished coverage. Well, one of the girls, she was covering Rampage Live, but she had it on the background, and she was like, oh, this is so cool. And she was like, I'm gonna finish the show like after she was done. And so it was, but the show was incredible. Like, it was stacked anyway. It was like, so Saban and Shelley came out, they wrestled second, which I was really surprised they wrestled that early in the show. And it was a fantastic match. Saban got a very interesting quick win. And I was like, I know that they're treating this as this is their final Prestige show. However, they did leave a bit of an opening for a rematch because of the way that ending went down. But then they had like, who else was on there? Shelton Benjamin versus Mike Santana was fantastic. I need to go back and really watch it because I was writing at the same time, so I was like looking up in between. Blackheart Leo Rush, which is my favorite version of Leo Rush, wrestled Amazing Red. That was fantastic. Athena wrestled in her boot against Masha Slamovich. That was a really great match as well. Timothy Thatcher wrestled Roddy Strong. That was a fantastic match too. There was like a 4-way tag team match. There was the scramble was really cool because Prestige, West Coast Pro, and DPW are all doing one big show next month. And so they had 2 wrestlers from each promotion enter this scramble. And we know how scrambles can get, but this scramble was done really, really well. Everybody got to showcase like what they do. It was a ton of fun, and it was fun because like the people I was watching with Wink, they weren't familiar with a lot of these people. So I was like, oh, and the 2 of them was not very familiar with, but then I was like, well, I know who this is. And so I was telling them about each one, which was really cool. And then the main event was Alan Angels versus Evil Uno, which obviously if you follow Dark Order, you know that Alan Angels was 5. He was in Dark Order. It was a brutal, I can't remember what the exact stipulation was, but I think it was a street fight. That's what I think that's what it was called. And so they got all kinds of weapons, and it was really cool. Like, it was a really, really great show. And like I said, it's for free on Prestige Wrestling's YouTube page. If you have the time to go check it out, I certainly would.
Portland, or are they in?
Yes, they're in Portland.
Not the Portland one? Okay.
Yeah. And then they announced Roseland 9 is, I don't know if that's the next show or if it's coming up, but they announced. So the very first match was Amira versus Kylie Ray. And I think I've seen Amira a couple times. She was on ROH recently. So of course that means it was like a 3-minute match, but she was really good. And she called out Jordan Grace, and they made it official for the next show. And then who else? Dijak is going to be at Roseland 9. They just announced today that Trevor Lee is going to be on Roseland 9. But they've got a lot of really cool stuff. And so, if you have the time to watch, I would go check it out. But so
there was a rumor around, someone I trust mentioned that they might have run a show around SummerSlam last year when they were in the area, but they didn't get here. So I've been keeping my eyes peeled for that. I know that, especially with the way current things are, like traveling with your stuff is way expensive. So
right,
it has to be well worth the booking. But that's awesome that they made it available on YouTube, though. I think that's
I think part of the reason, well, I mean, the card was really stacked, but I think part of the reason was because they were doing Saban versus Shelley, and they've wrestled each other before. They've wrestled in TNA, they wrestled against each other, but it's rare that they wrestle each other.
Oh, the wrestling socials were blowing up about that match. I mean, everyone was watching it because, like, I think there was like a whole group of people because it's in your wheelhouse because it's independent. So you knew it was coming, and it's Saban and Shelley. And so obviously we know exactly what they're doing pretty much all the time.
Right.
No, because we follow them. Like, and I mean, but I think like there was a whole section of wrestling Twitter or wrestling socials that didn't realize that was going to be a thing and that they could watch it. And as soon as that happened,
I was watching it unfold like on Twitter because
all these people that I like and were like even higher, like up the chain of podcasting and creating were like, what is happening? How come no one told me about this? And I've
been tweeting about it. I retweet that. I retweeted it so many times. I've been talking about it.
Believe me, I gave a couple of finger wags to a couple in good-hearted finger wags, of course, jestful, because I love my people. But it's really funny because I always tell people, it's like, no, but let me ask Sam, because like, and then you guys that are in the chat, like Brad and people like who give us the info on like what we did today, again, is like trying to follow these local promotions in our regions and giving each other information on these people, because what if one of my guys goes to your like town?
Right, of course.
You definitely need to see one of them.
Right.
Like all of the guys that are on this roster, you wouldn't like even I'm really excited about that documentary thing.
Yeah, that sounds really cool.
Because he's a really cool wrestler. He's a fun wrestler that is like I don't want to say Darby Allin because it's not like that at all, but like people would probably make that comparison, unfortunately. But he's so much himself. Like I hate making comparisons because, but I think people would be like, oh, well, he's got that kind of thing. And it's like, yeah, but not really. But I mean, if you looked at him on the outside, that would probably be your first thing. But then if you like actually watch what he was doing, it's so much deeper than that and so much more fun. And it sounds very. I'm excited, but those are the kinds of people where those people are going to travel because they're going to get booked other places. And this way we have in interconnectivity. We've got a network.
Definitely. And I mean, and independent wrestling is, of course, is great. I mean, we have the big companies, which is fantastic.
Of course.
But independent wrestling is the lifeblood of wrestling. Without these things, then wrestling wouldn't exist because that's who feeds into these systems. Where do these wrestlers, in most cases, where do 99% of them come
AAA baseball.
From?
It's junior hockey. This is the unofficial like JV or undercard like university of independent like struggles like AAA, like again, like AAA baseball or junior hockey. Like,
well, and it's a part of your community. Like you're not for most people, like you're not only supporting independent wrestling, you're supporting your community. You're putting money into your local community. You're helping, wrestlers get paid, and we know independent wrestlers don't make shit.
No, they don't make anything. What's so great about ours is that because they booked the show to make all the proceeds go to a nonprofit.
That's so cool.
So the audit, it's in our city ordinances, that auditorium space that they use. If all the proceeds are going to nonprofit, they can use the building for free.
That's very cool.
So as long as you are building a community, so again, it's going back into everything that goes on there is going straight back into the community, no matter what. And it gives them the ability to like actually give the wrestlers what they need to give them because they didn't have to pay for the space, which is a big one. Like,
right.
It's going to be worked into the pricing. Although again, it's incredibly reasonable to go see. I mean, $25 for that card. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, right. I know when he said that,
20 for it's 10 for GA, which is what I would get. Like, because we like
still,
to stand.
You're getting 12 matches for that.
We like to stand on the edge of that venue because of where the way the venue is set up. And there's pictures on the Powerbombshells. You'll see. I've got some pictures of that venue. It's the one with the big chandelier.
Yeah,
I'll throw a few more up there so that it's one of my favorite things. It's got a giant crucifix and a giant chandelier. The crucifix is off to the side of the ring usually, and the chandelier, unfortunately, because of the way that the setup is like right in the middle. It's so wonderful. Cool. I got to see Orange Cassidy have a crazy match there. It's like, but that's the thing. It's like I got to see Orange Cassidy in that venue, and then I got to see him again in like Chicago.
Yeah, that's the wildest things is like seeing somebody like, so Alan Angels was the main event of Prestige, and he was their champion, and he beat Alex Shelley to become champion. I used to, in my Pure shows, which was in Hebron, tiny little Hebron Hall in Charlotte that holds maybe 100 people. Alan Angels wrestled regularly. Like he was getting in it was before he signed with AEW. He was getting into, it was like when he was, early into his career. And so I watched him in this tiny little building. And then, now he's, the champion. I mean, he was in TNA for a little bit. And so, or I think he still is in TNA, but like, yeah. So you like never know who, and like well, I mean, the perfect example of this is Jay Malachi, who is now Javon Evans. I watched him when he was 15 years old wrestle in that very building, Hebron Hall, and he just main evented NXT's pay-per-view last Sunday. Like, that's so cool. So you never know who you're gonna see. And of course, some of them never make it to the big things, and that's okay too. But you're supporting
because they're yours, because they belong to your town and your community and your thing, and they're yours. I mean, that's I think you always say it perfectly, is because it's like it's your thing and your community is invested. And then we see how much good all these promotions are doing, whether it's Title Belt that's doing the similar thing where it's going all back to some charity, or just, I mean, it's a very fun community thing, and wrestling brings people together. I mean, it gets a lot of toxic, sadly, like the toxic trolls floating to the top of social media makes me mad, but it doesn't represent like the larger community. And that's why, again, we always try to talk about what we like here and not
of course,
dump on things, because you can find that
literally anywhere, especially
98% of the rest. No, it's not that high.
It seems like it some days, but and Brad brings up the point that indie wrestling will always be wild to me. A talent from LA who was a face job guy can go to Denver and be a heel main eventer without blinking an eye, and then go to New York and be a mid-card tag guy. And it was funny because even when I've talked about it, like Alex Shelley is known for being a baby face, but in Revolver he's a heel. Like, he's one of their biggest heels that they've got, and does a lot of heel work, and he does heel work in some other places, which is really
they were kind of being,
so funny.
I wouldn't say heels, but they were being there like arrogant, because they were like, because literally when they were doing that anniversary show, they made the match earlier. They were like, instead of that, we're doing this right now because we're who we are. Because they kind of had an FU attitude the entire way with the Dub Club, because they were really selling it as like, you're not going to touch us. We're the Motor City Machine. Like, they were going that way. Like, we're badasses. Like, we're
as they should.
Anti-authority. The version I really like, one of the versions I really like of them, the anti-authoritized sort of like, we're the best, and we do what we want because we're the best. And it's like, yes, you do, and yes, you can.
Yes, exactly. And Nikki pointed out, Evil Uno was dressed similar to Mick Foley, and commentary called Evil Uno Mr. Birdie Lee's baby boy. It was very cool to see that.
That's sweet.
I loved it. And then
I'm gonna have to check that show out.
It's really good.
I've been making Monday my wrestling catch-up day for like outside promotions. I'm finally caught up with Noah. Like, so nice. I'm just in time for the tournaments to start.
Of course.
And for me, I need to watch Marigold. I need to watch Marigold tomorrow.
I was like, G1 is next weekend. So
yes, I know.
So much is happening. Hassan said that Athena versus Masha on Prestige made me remember how much I miss seeing Athena in the ring. She's been killing it in ROH. And luckily because I cover it, I have gotten to see her entire nearly 600-day title reign. She's been wrestling a little bit less the last couple months because she was legitimately injured, but not as seriously as as she lets on. But she wrestled. But her match with Masha was fantastic, and I love getting to see them do. Those two were like perfect for each other because of the style that they both have. And like, Masha was pissed after that match, and she's like wants a rematch, and I think they'll get it. And it was just
I want to see Masha and Athena.
Yes,
my gosh,
that's so good.
That's like 90s All Japan Women's
right
level.
They just beat the hell out of each other.
Oh my gosh,
and Athena was so
I can feel the
and Athena's like blows. Also selling her injury that she has, and she's like wrestling in her boot, and she's very good at that stuff.
I need to watch that because I didn't realize I needed that in my life.
You do. Sometimes you don't know until it happens or until it's announced. And you're like, wait a minute, I think I do need that.
Well, I feel like American women are finally hitting their stride on really being able to wrestle and do like real wrestling the way that they like, without being like told like go out and do this or wear this cheerleader off. I mean, obviously WWE is going to WWE, and I'm gonna that's shade thrown. Take it. But like beyond that, I think it's really making like it's coming through. Like Duchess is a great example. She's someone I would love to like see as she goes along. And she's like someone you'd want to see with like an Athena type or something like that.
Very cool.
I mean, or she could like, because she's in that like Athena, Nyla, like somewhere in that world. She's a very tall. She's got to be like 6'2" or something.
Wow.
She's like, I mean, she is. Big girl, she is a strong girl. She's like Aja Kong back in the day, or
Wow.
you know, like I mean, someone I'm trying, you know, but again, I hate comparisons, but strong style. She will destroy you, and she's fantastic, and she's got charisma. And it was interesting because you know, Leela is one of the sort of smaller kind of like Billy Starks-esque, like somewhere in that vein. But I've seen those two wrestle each other. And you wouldn't care. It's like,
yeah, I love seeing
it's
stuff
that
like that.
match. They do a great job doing that match.
Yeah,
and it's amazing. And there's a lot of technical in it. So
that's so cool.
I'm going to check out this. I need to write.
Yeah, I definitely add it to your list of things to watch.
Well, I'm just going to put it on my tomorrow list because that's not that long. That's probably only a few hours compared to some of these Noah shows. The Go show was only 3 hours, thankfully.
I think it was like 3 hours. The show started at 10 o'clock.
Okay, that's not bad.
And
that's perfect.
It started at 10 o'clock here, and I think it was done at 1, maybe less than that. I can't remember exactly what time it was. And I got like 2 matches into Rampage, and then I've got to go back and watch the women's match and then the main event. I
have access to the Marigolds, the first 2, and I want to watch them for really real.
I've heard I heard some really good stuff about the show this weekend.
And I heard that the main event from yesterday was too good to miss. So I really need to.
Very cool.
Because it's on Wrestling Universe, it's just like their pay-per-views. But
yeah,
you know.
Yeah, and
but they're very enjoyable. That 4-way, but so it was Go Shiozaki. I'm going to forget everyone. Jun Akiyama, Kaito Kiyomiya, or no, not Kaito Kiyomiya, Nomichi Marufuji, and Segura.
Oh, wow.
And it was for Go's 20th anniversary show.
Uh-huh.
So Go Shiozaki has been with Noah for 20 years, or in the business for 20 years.
Right.
It was so dope. It was such a good tag.
I bet it was.
I think it was Go and Jun Akiyama were together, and
oh, nice.
And so it was Segura and Fuji, and it was like there was a point where Go literally threw the opponent down in front of his partner and tagged him, and then the dude like did like a flip over and like beat the. It was one because Go's such a big dude. And he's like brought him over to like Jun Akiyama and just dropped him down, and it was just like, go ahead and kill him. Here you go. I'm gonna drop him while I'm tagging you, and then you can jump over the ropes and destroy him. It was amazing. So sorry, I just
no, that's okay. It sounds like it was awesome. Brad says that Marigold probably won't be on Wrestler Universe for a while because it was a pay-per-view.
Yes, but
but she has access, is what she's saying.
Let's just say that we purchased the pay-per-views, and we'll leave it at that.
And then this comment says that Io versus Tommy was my number 2 in Marigold.
That's the other thing is Io is on that show, and I think the AJ Styles match is somewhere in there too.
That's
a different show.
No, Marigold's women only, right?
That's right. Marigold is women only.
But the Noah show was happening at the same. Like I think because somebody asked me the other day about it, and I think that Noah started half an hour before Marigold did, or it was vice versa. One started half an hour,
and that one I'm not buying. Because I really want to. I'll just wait for that one to go into the archive.
I'm not sure where it happened, but Jordan Grace wrestled Aja Kong this weekend. I saw a picture of them in the ring together in Japan.
There were a lot of Japanese.
I knew she was going. I knew she was going to Japan because I saw Jordan talking about it, and she ran into AJ Styles, and then her and AJ Styles got Ribera jackets together. And I saw it because Jonathan Gresham.
So jealous.
Jonathan Gresham shared the picture, and she was like, "How are you going to post this before I posted it?"
Not fair.
Your husband is very proud of you. Okay.
I've been blocked.
That was so funny. I was like, or I guess she posted it on her Instagram, but didn't post it to Twitter yet, or something. I don't know,
Dang
something
it.
like that. But she called him out. She's like, "How are you posting this?"
I mean, that is
That's
such
funny.
a big deal. I wouldn't be able to like,
Yeah.
either.
Yeah, I was like, I get why he's excited for her.
I would be excited too. I totally
I
get it.
that. Yes, definitely. And then Hassan, I want to bring back this comment that he said he feels like Athena will keep the title. I think she's eyeing New Japan. I don't think he means Wrestle Dream. He means the oh wait, is it Wrestle Dream? No, not Wrestle Dream. Wrestle Dream's the October show. Wrestle Dynasty
Wrestle
is the show in
Dynasty
January.
is what
Is the show in January. That's the day after Wrestle Kingdom. She's going to represent ROH there. You know, I hadn't actually thought about that.
I hope you are right.
I had completely forgotten about that because I thought that they were finally, because if I think with who they currently have, Queen Aminata is the one to dethrone Athena.
Mhm.
Queen Aminata has that similar style. She's fantastic. It's time to do something with her and to like, because they were pushing her and then they kind of put it on the back burner. Then Athena got hurt and now they're bringing it up again. And so I thought that Queen Aminata was finally going to be the one. But that's a really good point. And yes, it is very confusing. There's so many different combinations of names. Because when they announced that, my friend Doug, who has been on the show for, he texted us and he was like, "They're just not going to let go of that dynasty name, are they?" And I was like, "No, it's Dynasty," but no, they are not going to get rid of it apparently. And so, that's a really good theory, Hassan. Or I guess it's possible.
Right. I hope she gets to.
I guess it's possible that she drops it and then wins it back at Final Battle and takes it into Wrestle Dynasty. But she's closing in on 600 days as champion.
Ooh, wow.
And so I wouldn't put it past Athena. If anybody's going to hold a title that long and take it in, I could see it being Athena.
Yeah, Tokyo.
But yeah, I had not thought about that at all. That's a really, that's very interesting. I'm going to now definitely keep that in the back of my mind because Death Before Dishonor is in 2 weeks. And now they're trying to pretend like they care about ROH.
Well, I think everyone was trying to get the last. They know that the tournaments are all basically starting next weekend. I think they were trying to get the last of their stuff out. They've
had Ring of Honor TV has been pretty aimless since
Supercard.
Yeah. So it's just Tony needs to give somebody else full control and just let them. I mean, he can stick with the Athena story because that's been him. He's been working very closely with Athena and Lexi and Billy and all of that. So but he's got to loosen up and let there be some more control.
Well, they're recording those on Dynamite and Collision and all those other shows.
Just Collision.
Okay.
Unless it's a pay-per-view week, then they do more, but no, it's after Collision. It's Collision and then ROH tapings. And so that's why you see sometimes you'll see some of the people that are on that's why it irritates me when the Kingdom or Wrestle on Collision but not ROH. And I'm like, they're the tag team champions, they're literally already there, just put them on Ring of Honor.
Right.
It drives me insane that they do that. But yeah, so they've already made the 2 matches they've made so far are Queen Aminata versus Athena and Billy Starks versus Red Velvet, which should both be phenomenal matches. And then for whatever reason, I don't know why they did it last night, they had Dalton Castle versus Roderick Strong, and the winner is the number 1 contender for Mark Briscoe, but they did it on Collision. I was like, why didn't you record this for Honor Club? It doesn't make any sense. And Roddy is not really, he's in and out of Ring of Honor. Dalton's there more often. He makes a little bit more sense. My guess is, Roddy won. My guess is Roddy is winning the title off of Mark Briscoe. And then they're going to have all of Undisputed with titles. Well, the 3 of them, Undisputed, Taven and Bennett. Except for Bennett and Taven, they don't have a match yet. But MXM, which they are now in ROH, their MXM collection, which makes me think of Milano collection, which I think is why they did it. But MXM they've been doing vignettes. They haven't shown up yet, but the vignettes are very funny. And so I was like, well, maybe they're just going to drop the titles to them. But now that Roddy has this title shot, I was like, okay, I think they're going to put the titles on Roddy and leave the titles on Bennett and Taven for a while because I was like, they don't really have anything for them to. Undisputed is kind of in this weird thing because Adam Cole's still not cleared and
Right.
MJF has gone back to being a heel,
Mhm.
and they seem like they don't quite know what they're doing.
Aimless.
And Wardlow is who knows where. I don't know where Wardlow is. So it just seems like they're the focus right now. But yeah, so those are our 3 title matches in the pay-per-views 2 weeks, and there's been 3 matches made.
Awesome. Well,
Brad
all
says
12 of you should be super excited about that.
Yeah. Brad said he'd be pissed if MXM won the tag titles because they're coming in, and if they're gonna drop the titles, it should honestly be to the Infantry. But because they're the most consistent tag team, they're fantastic.
I love the Infantry. So
James
I'm never
Drake
gonna argue. Give the Infantry a belt. Okay.
Yeah, right.
Sure,
James Drake is
Not even
out
watching.
for an undetermined amount of time. So of course, as soon as Anthony Henry gets back, JD Drake gets injured on a fluke thing, and he finished the match, but he posted on Facebook about it, and it was like just this fluke thing where he hurt his foot. He barely could put weight on it, finished the match, and he just said he didn't really give a timetable of when he's gonna be back. So workhorsemen are not they're not a tag team right now. So hopefully they let Anthony just put Anthony in the pure division and just let him kick the crap out of people. I mean, that's what I want.
Is Yuta back? Is he doing anything?
Yes. Finally. So Yuta came back.
I know he's back.
Well, first he went to AEW. He came back on ROH. He didn't technically even defeat. I mean, he didn't defend the title. He had a proving ground match. But the match was fantastic. Moriarty went the 10 minutes. Moriarty's going to get a title shot. That's probably happening at Death Before Dishonor. Hassan said, are they trying to build Yuta versus Moriarty for the pay-per-view? Is it just my imagination? No, I think with Moriarty winning that match, I think that's where it's going, and I think Moriarty is probably winning. I think they're taking that title off of Yuta, and they're gonna just leave Yuta. Yeah, they should have stripped. I love Yuta. Obviously, his mental health, his brain health is way more important, but they should have stripped him. And so I'm very irritated that they didn't do that, and then they need to do. But yeah, so I think that's what they're doing. And then Josh Woods had been like kind of competing for that title, but apparently Josh Woods missed some time with an injury and things like that. So I think hopefully they can get their shit together. But unfortunately, I feel like it's just going to be more of the same. Like Death Before Dishonor, all the matches are going to deliver because they always do. And then they're going to go right back to not giving a shit and going back to proving ground matches. Like Billie Starkz has not defended her title. She has had 5 proving ground matches since she won the title at Supercard. She has not defended it yet. Her first, unless something happens between now and 2 weeks, her first time defending that title is going to be at the pay-per-view.
Awesome.
And they Undisputed Kingdom have done a little bit. They've done a lot of proving grounds that they've defended their titles a couple of times. But like Mark Briscoe has that when he defended his title against Kyle Fletcher, which was weird because Kyle had the TV title at the time. That was the first time he had defended the title since January on our club. Like just stop doing that. Please just put the title on people who are going to stay in ROH because you don't care about what you're doing. Brad said that it goes back to that clip from the Max Caster interview from last week about bringing in talent, putting them over talent that's been there for a while. I didn't watch the Max Caster interview because, well, for multiple reasons. I didn't know about the interview, and then I saw this 4-minute clip and people were just talking about him and not the whatever was in the content of that, so I didn't watch it. But yeah, they do that sometimes. But on the other hand, I know that they're trying to get people to subscribe to On Our Club, and MXM is one of the hottest tag teams out there right now. But yes, I do get that. It irritates me when that happens, when they put titles on people who have who are basically brand new to the promotion. But it also irritates me when they put it on primarily AEW wrestlers, knowing they're not going to be down there. Like Bang Bang Gang doesn't come down to On Our Club. And then they did the stupidest thing on Collision last night. So Jay White is apparently hurt, and he's going to be out for an undetermined amount of time. But because Juice wasn't officially part of the trios at the time they won the titles, Christopher Daniels stripped them of the titles last night. But then, so the patriarchy comes out because they, that's what they want, it's the trios titles. And so the patriarchy's like, Christian's like, just put it on us. And he was like, no, we'll do this. We'll have the Bang Bang Gang wrestle the patriarchy for the title, and the winner will get the title. So why did you strip the Bang Bang Gang when Juice is right there? And it doesn't. And then especially when when Max was hurt, when MJF was hurt, they were letting, when Adam Cole was hurt, they let MJF wrestle on his behalf. Like, it doesn't make any fucking sense. It's like, what are you? I don't understand.
I feel bad for ROH people in general, because it's like you're trying so hard and you really do want to support it, but it's
they're making it very
especially
difficult.
And you can tell that like Tony's in the middle of negotiations. Like
Right.
he's got, on top of just running the show week to week and dealing with all the things he's dealing with, like he's in the middle of like contract negotiations with a major corporation.
Yeah.
He doesn't have time. Like there's no way he has time. Like he
didn't have time before the negotiations.
Right.
But he
and now
doesn't
he's
have
in the
time.
middle
And
of
now
that. So like this is the time to like test run having somebody else be the like leader on it.
And then I found out like a few weeks ago, Maria was saying that she doesn't have any involvement in, like, if women come to her and ask for help, she helps them. And then she helps her because she got her on-screen thing is that she manages Cole Carter and Griff Garrison. But she has no official, like, Tony has not given her anything. Like, she doesn't help with it. She doesn't run the women's division. She doesn't book it. She just, if people come to her for advice, she'll give it. And I was like, why would you waste that? It does not make any fucking sense. And then you've got Chris Hero right there. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, right.
What are you
like
doing?
One of the most knowledgeable people in wrestling right now.
Yeah, right. And then Brad just said, going back to the Max Caster interviews, that people hated it because of the messenger, but if it was someone else they liked, they would have put the clip over. He made an incredibly valid point. So yeah, the point, I haven't seen that clip otherwise, and the thing that I saw, it was like 4 minutes and I didn't have time to watch it, but he wasn't talking, from what I understand, it wasn't that conversation. It was he was talking about something else from what I saw.
So I don't know anything about any of this.
I just saw, I saw just one clip and they were just talking, but they had nothing. The tweet that I saw, I will say, like in the caption, had nothing to do with ROH. So I didn't realize that that's what it was about, because I haven't seen it. And then Hassan asks Christopher Daniels a heel because Bang Bang Gang are the baby faces feuding with heel Christian. Christopher Daniels is screwing the baby faces. Exactly. And so, and with Jennifer being in charge of the women's divisions, it's the TBS and the TNT title. I don't think Jennifer Pepperman has anything to do with Ring of Honor, as far as I have heard.
I think she's only with Dynamite.
I think she's only doing the AEW Women's Champion and the TBS Championship. I don't think she has anything to do with ROH whatsoever, as far as I know, unless there's something else that I have missed. That's what I've heard. And Paul says all CD had to do was say, okay, Juice, you want to be officially recognized as part of the chance, then help the Guns defend the belts against the patriarchy. So much simpler. Exactly. Thank you, Paul. Exactly. It doesn't make any sense.
Our people in the chat get it. They understand.
It doesn't make any sense.
Make it make sense.
I know. So yeah, I was like, since that's coming up in 2 weeks, I'm going to actually, I think I'm still scheduled. I did Honor Ramble. So one of the times that Mel couldn't be on the show, we had Kyle Sparks fill in.
Yeah.
And so Kyle knows a lot about ROH. Like if Paul's an ROH historian, then so is Kyle. Like Kyle knows, like he's always just pulling out random facts and stuff. But he has a show called On a Ramble on the OLE podcast and or network. And I think I'm doing their their go home show before the
Cool.
pay-per-view. So I will
Yeah.
let you know once we get closest. But yeah, I think I'm gonna be on there with him and Collins and help them and discuss that, because we are one of those two are two of the 12 of us who watch regularly. So
You guys should get shirts like a bowling team.
we should.
You can all have numbers like on your sleeve. You can have
That would be
1,
fantastic.
2, 3. It'd just be hilarious. Like, it would just be funny.
It
You
would
could
be
all
funny.
have little numbers on your sleeves. You could just pick a number at random, just at
should.
1 through 12.
It's like the minion type of, kind of like the Athena's minions, except
a
for
little
it's
bit,
more-
but more like, I like the more the like bowling team thing, because you could put like a
Yeah.
little patch on it that said whatever you wanted, or your name, or some like it could have like some wrestling reference or funny on it, but it could be like bowling shirt-esque. I mean, as a former soccer player, like lifelong soccer player, team person, I like jerseys. I like the idea of, I've got my Seahawks jerseys that we've picked up over the years. We have all the home and away and alternate colors because we're that nerds. But, it's fun. I think it'd be funny if the 12 of you got shirts. Or like Ribera Jack, like you should make like members only jackets, or Ribera, well, not members only, Ribera jackets.
Right,
Let's compare it to something fun and cool, not something like old and weird.
That sounds really fun.
As someone who remembers members only jackets when they were cool. I was a kid, but not for me, but I remember.
Right,
that they
yeah,
were cool.
right.
That was a thing, and they were cool. Believe it or not.
Agreed. Yes, they were. Can confirm.
It was a thing, people.
I'm gonna have to tell them that. They probably think it's funny.
I don't know why Private Party hasn't capitalized on having members only jackets in some form or another.
Like, just do an updated version and do like their version would be really cool.
My karaoke DJ, they do beer shots occasionally, and which is just a little thing of beer. Obviously, it's exactly what it sounds like for those. This is Michigan, folks. This is the kind of you saw it in the beginning. You're seeing it now. It's called Pure Michigan. We have things that we do. We call beer shots. And she plays the shots thing that they play.
Oh,
and so every time it's just this funny crossover for me. I'm just like,
that's so funny.
So I have a positive thing for it. They also play it at Bob's company party every year, so he has a total negative react to it because he's like, no.
Understandable.
I'm trying to I put him. I'm like, think of Private Party.
There you go.
I always if he's around, he's like, I'm like, is that Private Party?
Yes, Nikki and I are always, oh my god, is that Private Party? But that's one of the things I did enjoy with JR when he would say, oh my god, it is. Paul White used to do it too, and he used to do when that's one of the things I've missed about Dark and Elevation is because they would just say whatever. And so Paul White would be like, oh my god, is that Private Party? And Paul White would be like, oh my god, it is, when they would come out. Great.
I miss, you know what? You probably could have ended that sentence at I miss Dark and Elevation.
Yes, I do miss Dark and Elevation.
That venue, that outlet was really cool, and I think
enjoyed it. Yeah, I mean, some of it was ROH gets a little bit of that because that's what they've been doing for weeks, is just random ass matches that don't mean anything. And especially their lovely Four Corners matches that don't mean anything. And so they do have some of that Dark and Elevation stuff with it, which is unfortunate. But yeah, I do miss those shows, and I miss those shows too. And I know why they made it go away, but I kind of wish they hadn't. Because then you got to see people who don't get, there's not enough time on TV to put them all in there. And then you had I always joke, I mean, that's where Britt Baker went to pad her record when it meant something to rankings meant something to make her the number one contender. They just put her on Dark for 5 weeks in a row.
I think it was good for people who still need reps, and there's a lot of people on the roster that do. They just do.
Yeah, agreed. And people, I saw a tweet the other day that made me laugh, and it's kind of true. It's funny because it's true type of thing. They were it was something like the biggest feeder system or biggest recruiter for WWE or something like that, and it was a picture of AEW Dark and then a picture of Forbidden Door.
Yeah. Yep.
And the Brett
The truth is painfully hilarious.
Brett said they should bring back Dark to trick WWE into signing more people to bloat their roster even
There
more.
you
Yeah, because
go.
like that's
a
where
good
they
idea.
like Maddie Rinkowski is signed over there now. She's on NXT. They took wasn't JC Jane, I think she was somebody, I forget her name on the indies, but I think she came, like she had been on Dark. There were a couple of women that were on Dark and they got deals with with AEW, I mean with WWE after that. And then clearly
That's
we have
almost like a perfect segue into our
Mhm. And I was like, and then for the
number
other
one
half of that,
topic.
yes, for that other half of that tweet, the Forbidden Door graphic that they were discussing is because there was a very shocking move, unless you've been under a rock this week or just
we as Power Bombshells were bombshelled.
we
by
were.
the
So Stephanie Vaquer
Even.
had a really incredible match with Mercedes at Forbidden Door, and a week later, she signed with WWE, and everybody was like, "What the hell?" So, yeah, it was definitely, I would say, completely unexpected. I mean, there were rumors from a paper in Mexico saying that she had offers from both AEW and WWE, but Lucha Blog was saying that although the paper was really well known, the writer who wrote it was a gossipy writer, and so he was like, take it with a grain of salt, just because they may not be the most reliable. And then the next day, there was rumors that she had signed, and CMLL put out the post and said that, you know, she was no longer with the company. They had stripped her of all her titles, and she was supposed to wrestle at Fantasticomania yesterday. She was supposed to defend the CMLL championship because obviously she lost the Strong championship to Mercedes, and apparently on her way out, kind of pissed off 3 different companies. As what's going around
written and reported on Observer Radio and in a newsletter, it was that they weren't going to stand in her way. They knew that this is her lifelong dream. When she was growing up, that was what you could see from America with WWF,
right?
WWE.
Which is what I keep hearing that too. And I've read that from Lucha Block. I said the same thing. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like we say all the time, get paid.
Well, I want to be clear, is like, they said, we're not going to stand in your way. She said, okay, I'm going to do it this way. They said, well, we'd like you to finish out your dates. She said, no, I want to go now. The impetus was that WWE was playing Mexico like yesterday or something.
No, they performed. She performed in Mexico last night.
And so the idea was like, no, I can't finish. I need to go with this because I need to go take my thingy because they're not going to wait. This is WWE. It's not like AEW or whatever else. And this is what I want to do. So she went and she did what any athlete would do any professional athlete in her situation would do. It's like,
right.
And I understand this like thing about like going in the back, going out the front door versus going out the back door, kind of like bullshit. And I mean, it's like, I get it, but this is the same group of people who like are happy to screw people over or can't. I mean, I don't feel that bad about like Tony Khan just summarily pulled people off of dates and completely like wrecked long-term booking for certain independent people at certain points. Like,
right.
They've
all done it.
Like this is not like, I hate the idea that Stephanie's getting demonized for doing something, and I have to ask the question,
part of the reason
if this was a guy
Yeah.
doing exactly what Stephanie was doing, would there be such an uproar?
Probably not.
I mean,
Probably
I don't want to make it
part of it is because she's a woman. That
you gotta ask the question.
And it's
unfortunately,
also
gotta ask the question. Gotta ask the bear.
Well, because it was, I mean, the same shit happened with Mercedes, because Mercedes walked out of a situation that was terrible for her, that she has said did not sit right with her soul, and she absolutely could not last one more day in that position. And so she left, and people are still villainizing her for that. It's been 2 fucking years and they're still just thinks she's the most evil person ever and that she's nothing and that her having 2 championships means nothing and that she won't be anything until she comes back to WWE and a Sasha Banks.
Meanwhile,
which is just
people like Ronda
absurd.
Rousey, I mean, no offense to them, but meanwhile, people like Ronda Rousey, The Rock, and John Cena can walk in and out of WWE anytime they want and invalidate any work that has been done around them for months. So, I mean, piss off. Like,
yeah, I mean, it is like, I don't.
And this I mean, I don't want her to go to WWE. I would have much rather seen her in a situation where she could wrestle more, but this was her dream.
Yeah,
So,
and I won't put, and who is gonna?
It's none of my business. Like, this was her dream.
Yeah, and she's been, she had a tryout in 2018. They didn't offer her a job.
Right.
This is something she's clearly always wanted. So good for her. Like, yes, does it suck that she screwed CMLL yesterday and New Japan? Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Is it the way that I would have done it? No. But then again,
but we don't know the inner workings. We don't know.
We also know that WWE is notorious for being like, take it or leave it.
Yeah.
Tell them to F off. I mean, we don't know that they didn't be like, no, you're not. I mean, it's WWE. It's not AEW. AEW would have been like, yeah, you can finish your dates. WWE was like, get your ass over here. Your contract's up. You don't need.
I mean, they used her. They wanted her for the Mexico show last night.
Of course they did.
She wrestled. Yeah, and she wrestled Alba Fire because I kept last night I kept seeing the entrance just over and over, like, look, this is her entrance, and I was like, well, who the hell did she wrestle? Like, I have not seen who her opponent was, and so I looked at I finally found it, and it was Alba Fire, and she defeated her. The entrance looked cool. She looked really happy from what I could tell.
Good,
and
good
I mean, it sucks that, screwed CMLL and New Japan yesterday, and that's unfortunate. And it's probably going to give her, some people are going to, that's going to give to them, it's going to give her a bad name, but, she did we don't know the details of everything. And, of course, like, one of the first things I thought of when she signed with WWE, because a friend brought it up and they were like, do you think it had anything to do with Roosh? And I thought, definitely possible. And I've seen, a couple other people have said, no, it had nothing to do with Roosh being there, because this has just been her dream. It wouldn't surprise me if it had some small, play, like, if that's just something that, like, if she had all these things and was like, and like, if she's like weighing it, like, I've always wanted to wrestle in WWE, I finally have this opportunity, and I don't have to worry about running into Roosh, like, that might have been like just a bonus for her. But as somebody has, people have pointed out, even Brad has said it in the chat, Dragon Lee is Roosh's brother. Dragon Lee works for WWE. I mean, they haven't put him on TV in a month, but I mean, he's there too. So, and somebody made the point that Dragon Lee might just be the one who's smart enough to not put anything on social media, but he may agree with Roosh and he may not. We don't know. It's not, but that's just something that,
but he's keeping it to himself, which is probably the best plan in most cases, I would say.
Yeah. I mean, on the one hand, like, I'm glad to know that about Roosh and Dralistico, that they, support abusers so that I can no longer support them. But, so I feel like overall Stephanie did what she thought she had to do. And I don't have any, it's not my place to see.
I hate when people talk about, I just think critical in this business, in the wrestling, pro wrestling, the carny, weird business of pro wrestling that it is, it's hypocritical AF to say that, oh, this person does terrible business because she did this way, when these companies, like, they lay people off whenever they feel like it. They sign people, they tell them to move to Florida and reset your entire life, and then lay them off 2 weeks later. I mean, this is a business that is historically, like, even the women, the gross, like, look at what Moolah. Right. Enough said. Go Google it sometime.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, it's, guys, I'm really sorry but this is not like professional business. This is not like, she's not looking for a reference in the future. And time heals, as Dave says all the time, time heals all wounds in wrestling. So if she's so hot that everything is like wonderful, and for some reason her WWE career implodes, You think it's gonna matter?
You think AEW wouldn't sign her in a heartbeat?
In a heartbeat. It's just silly.
Because she's a phenomenal talent. And
it's
you know, and
silly. It's silly because you know that if this tanks, every company that had her before will be waiting to sign her on the other side. So this is just a bunch of it's fluff. It's flack. It's a bunch of flack to get you mad about something that gets done a lot, but got done by a girl. In this case, I guess, or I don't know. I mean, again, was it what I would do? Not necessarily, but I don't know that you said it. I don't know the inner workings. I have no idea what was out there.
No, I mean, it sucks. I really hate it, especially for the New Japan fans who bought tickets because that match was announced months ago. And to buy tickets to that show, especially people who bought tickets specifically to see Stephanie. That
agree.
And I hate that for them. And that's unfortunate. And unfortunately, the wrestling business is like that. And carded subject to change. It's sometimes carded subject to change because you sign with somebody else, which is, you know, not maybe necessarily the best look, but we don't know the situation that she was presented and why she did the things that she did. I hope that is WWE where I wanted her to go. No. But I wish her the best. I hope that she is super successful. Well. I hope she makes a shit ton of money. And even like somebody brought up the quote from Mercedes the other day about how, you know, she said when she came to Boston, this is a global, or, you know, I want this to be a global revolution for women's wrestling. That means women getting paid well. And if Stephanie Vaquer going to WWE is a result of that, then you know, the more power to her. And Stephanie's not an idiot. She knows what happened with Mercedes. Her and Mercedes, there's pictures of them hanging out after the match. I'm sure they've discussed, you know, her time in WWE and why she left, even if they didn't go into straight, you know, these details. And even if she knew, maybe she's just like, you know what? I'm willing to risk it because this has been my dream, because AEW wasn't a thing when I was growing up. And because, I mean, like even Hangman Page has said, like, WWE was my dream because there was no AEW, but then I got to AEW and AEW is my dream now. I no longer want to go to WWE. This is where I'm happy. This is what I want to see built. And so it's people's stuff changes, and sometimes they do want to fulfill those lifelong dreams. And, you know, I'm not going to begrudge her for that. And if she's going to get paid to do it, on top of that, get paid well, then more power to her. And I hope that she's successful, and I hope that she does really well. And I wish the best for her. And luckily that's the one positive of me covering WWE. I mean, even though I don't really keep up with NXT, the one positive of covering WWE is that I will hopefully get to see her some. Yeah, be nice. But yeah, and so, you know, good for her. Even though it wasn't the greatest way for it to happen, it opened up an opportunity yesterday at Fantastica Mania. And the match that was the new match that was made was I think her name was pronounced Uvia. Uvia is a CMLL wrestler. It was her versus Viva Van versus Willow for the vacant CMLL title. And Willow won the title last night. Cool. And that's so. In the, you know, the silver lining of all this is that
Willow Nightingale.
Willow, and you know, Willow, I wrote about her last night, about her winning, and Willow was talking about how the first time she was in CMLL, she was in a 6-person and she pinned Stephanie Vaquer at that time. And so she was like, and now the title is vacant and I come in here and I win it. And she's just like, you know, Lyric posted this last night that Willow so she was the inaugural New Japan Strong Women's Champion. She is the AEW TBS champion. She is the 2023 Owen Hart winner. She's the first woman to main event an ROH and a New Japan pay-per-view. She's the first woman to get main event billing on an AEW pay-per-view. She's a CMLL World Women's Champion, which is incredible. And the 2 summers she's had, it's hard to top for a women's wrestler. And I read somewhere else that hang on, I have let me find, thought I screenshot the tweet from Ian, but let me read this tweet about Ian, which, I mean, this is a really cool fact. Let me go to it real quick. Hang on one second. I'll pull that up. Right here. Yeah. So Ian Riccaboni tweeted this morning that Matt Taven, Christopher Daniels, Rocky Romero, and 2 others have all won championships in ROH, CMLL, and New Japan, but nobody has yet to crack the ROH, CMLL, New Japan, AEW combination. Willow is just 1 title away from that. And then he corrected himself and said that Jericho did win. That he did win a title. Obviously, he was the ROH champion. And he said it makes it even more wild, and which would make it the next person to do it be it Willow, Taven, Daniels, or Rocky with an AEW title, or even more rare. And then also, she is the first woman to hold a championship in not ROH, in AEW, CMLL, and New Japan. She's the only woman to have ever done that, which is incredible. And so that was just, even though it sucks, the stuff with Stephanie Vaquer and what that did for the title, I'm very happy for Willow, because Willow is incredible. She's one of the best. So I love that for her. And we do have a super chat, so thank you for that, Will.
Thank you, Will. That's amazing. Thank you so
Will
much.
Said, is that the weird thing is that WWE let Julia work Marigold, and she's been signed since April. Yeah, and I think that's in part because Julia had the relationship with Rossi Agawa, and they want to I think WWE wants to build a relationship with Rossi and Marigold, because obviously
I was going to say, I think that their better in is with Rossi. I think that they seem like, because of where he's at right now, I think that he, being who he is a lot like, they've been trying to get into Japan forever and have not been successful. But there is probably more of an opening than there's ever been, because of the like anemic sort of situation that's going on with New Japan and some of the crisscrossed wires and so forth. So I would think that it would be a smart just business move on that front. I mean, that one makes a little more sense, especially since they don't have to worry about pissing off. They have Mexico. They have dates in Mexico. They have deals in Mexico.
Well, and I think someone mentioned in the comments that WWE is trying to get a deal with AAA. So, which makes sense.
Well, I mean, now that they've pissed off CMLL, that's a great way to do it. So
yeah, and with Julia, and I guess it's worked out so far for WWE because, and Marigold, because Marigold got EO yesterday, and it sounds like they might be getting Kyrie coming in as well.
Wouldn't surprise me.
So yeah, because they're both.
I think they're trying to piggyback off each other a little. I think that there's a big.
It's a smart.
It's the best opportunity WWE has had to have a Japanese relationship and a presence there.
Yeah,
and going in through the women's door is probably the best way to do it, because it sets you. I mean, whether it's good or bad, whether you're using it as a way to pander or not, if it works, I mean, it works.
And Jordan is more than likely going to be signed with WWE. Like they came out the other day that Jordan's contract was supposed to be up later in the year next year, but it's been negotiated. Their contract is up next summer. She will probably sign with WWE as soon as possible, and I guarantee you she's going to Marigold.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they keep doing crossovers. I wouldn't even be surprised if you saw Marigold do something around WrestleMania next year.
Yeah.
Or even, SummerSlam's pretty close, but I wouldn't be surprised if
Julia should be here any minute now. She had her match yesterday. She's cleared. She wrestled Sari yesterday.
Yeah, that was the main event.
Julia, so I was like, Julia will be here.
SummerSlam in August. That's coming up, right?
It's the first weekend in August. I think it's the second. I think it's the third. Is it third and fourth? It's the first weekend. I know. I think
I was because it was here last August. It was like middle of last August.
It's in Cleveland, and it's a 2-night show.
Oh, okay. So it's in the area again.
Yeah. So I think,
unlike Tony, WWE loves playing the Midwest, Ohio, and Michigan.
Yes, and Brad says that. Or actually, Jeremy, I will go back to Brad's comment in just a second. Jeremy said that, I don't know if anyone mentioned it, but I laughed when I realized Julia didn't even get into WWE and dropped the strong title to Vaquer, and then Stephanie started in WWE before Julia. What the F? That's so, I had not made that connection, but that's.
Oh my God, Jeremy. Stop blowing my mind right now. Okay.
Oh, that's funny.
That's a really good point.
That's so funny. And Brad
It's
says,
funny because it's like you don't think about those things, and then someone puts it to you, and you're like, "Oh dear."
well, and then they'll both be there at the same time because Julia should be there. Like, isn't she supposed to be at? Wait, when is the? I don't remember when the NXT paper. She was supposed to be at Heat Wave, but she wasn't cleared, and then she was cleared for the match, and then like, yeah, she's supposed to be there. Like, I think like any day now.
I'm
It
sure she'll
sounds
be
like
there
I
any
can't
minute
remember.
now.
I can't remember what their next pay per view is, but I'm sure she will be competing on because then they make some. I think they made some new women's title, and Julia is expected to win it.
Well,
It's
that's
kind
right.
of like
They
it's
are
kind of the
doing
strong.
they're doing on
kind of,
it's
it's a North American women's title, right?
It's a North American thing. Yeah, it's something in that
Yeah, because there's
vein.
already a North American
It's
men's
a
title.
shout out to an old school like Japanese belt that used to be. It's
Which makes even more sense if Julia's gonna win it.
Yeah, it's a total
It's kind of
callback to a 90s like women's wrestling Japan title that was like
it's kind of like a strong
like a North American something or other.
It's like the strong women's title. It's created like the strong women's title was created specifically for Mercedes and she got hurt and it went to Willow, but this title seems like it's being created
North America or
for Julia. It sounds like, but
something.
Good for NXT for having Julia and Stephanie Vaquer. That's quite a feat, and good for them for getting paid. And then Brad, yes, Willow is already a legend, and anything she does from here on out is gravy. Yeah, Willow.
Agree, 100%.
I love
if
her.
If you're
so
not
much.
Using Willow, you're doing it wrong.
Yes. Well, and that kind of, I guess, leads us right into our next discussion is the Owen Cup finals were this week, and the women, it came down to Willow versus Mariah May and a fantastic match. And they got the main event. They got the main event, which was really cool. And I knew something was going to happen, just didn't know what. And boy, what an incredible, just that segment was just phenomenal. Like the match was great itself. We knew the heel turn was coming. I didn't expect it then. I think that was, I knew it was.
I didn't either.
We have like what, I guess 6-ish weeks now to it. So I figured, okay, they'll do it, leading up to it.
Maybe,
I didn't think it was that night. And the fact that it was so brutal on top of that was just, and Tony's reaction, like Tony was so shocked and upset by what Mariah did that she didn't even try to fight back. Like she just, when you just hear her crying and she's got, and just leaving that shoe like the whole time has been watch out for the shoe. Like that's been the tagline this whole time. And you see all throughout the match that Tony keeps putting the shoes on the apron because she's trying to give it to Mariah to use against Willow, and she never does. And then she has the shoes at the end, and she just drives the heel of the shoe into Tony's forehead, and she's a bloody mess. And she's in color. She was never in black and white. I don't think she was in black and white at all on Wednesday. I think she was in color the entire time. And
maybe for the intro, but because I noticed that, because one of the things I noticed from being in the building while she's been doing this, and because I understand how film works a little bit, how they had to film you have to wear certain colors for black and white to show up. Right. And Tony's always, when you're watching her in the ring, I realized that when we were watching last year, I was like, oh, duh, she's wearing green and red because that's how they show dark and light on the. And this particular time, she wasn't dressed in the stuff necessarily that
was wearing
works with the black and white film.
Yeah.
Like you have to wear specific colors when it's black and white. Right. Otherwise, it only shows up as gray. It shows up as different color grays. So it's a weird color trick. So,
that's really true. That's true. And so it's just,
there's so many little subtle things about it that were like, oh my gosh, I just noticed, wait, she's like in black and white for like maybe a split second, and then like they went off her immediately. She wasn't wearing the right colors. They were just a little off. Like
when she's wearing like the light pink robe thing, and Tony doesn't really wear, we don't see her. That's Mariah's color. Mariah will wear pink. And then we see her. And then what I think, like, another thing that was kind of cool, because I assumed that Mina was in on it, but then Mina tweeted later and was like, what are you like, what happened, what are you doing, like I didn't. And so I can't tell if Mina is playing along and she's still on, like her and Mariah have been in it the whole time, or if Mariah didn't even tell Mina and Mina had no clue, and that she was playing both of them the entire time, which is what it kind of, as of right now, that's what it appears to be, is that she was playing everybody. Clearly she played Luther well, and Luther kind of figured it out in the beginning. Like Luther was kind of wary of her, and then he kind of accepted her, and she took out Luther too. So I loved it. And Brad says,
I like the idea of her just turning completely on everyone and everyone being like, what?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think it adds an extra layer to it. And Brad said the final 30 plus minutes of Dynamite were all women, ending with one of the best closing segments we've seen in years. And that's what I keep hearing. A lot of people are saying that moment will be something that people go back and talk about with women's wrestling, that was a moment that stands out with other things like women main eventing WrestleMania for the first time, and getting these powerful moments in women's wrestling, that then this moment transcends women's wrestling. It sets AEW on a completely different course, I think, depending on how this plays out and how they follow up. And I hope that they continue to just give the women the ball, because they knocked it out of the park.
It was awesome.
I'm bracing myself for the fact that Swerve versus Danielson headlines All In. However, I don't see how this match does not headline. This should main event Wembley for multiple reasons, but it is the story they've been telling the longest. It is the story that has the most emotion behind it. And not to say that Danielson doesn't, we'll get to that in a minute. I just feel like the story they've been telling, if you want women to as Deanna said, you want women to earn their main event pay-per-view spot, not just be given it because they are women, then this is the story to do it, and to do it in Wembley, which is, where Mariah grew up, apparently very close by to this. And there's all these reasons that they should, but and
Tony has her connections in terms of Progress and things like that, where she wrestled in the UK scene for a bit.
Yes, exactly. Right. So I feel like if you are going to main event a pay-per-view with women, this is the story to do it, and this is the time to do it. And I hope, I won't be surprised if this is billed as a double main event, and that they're the first of the double main event. That's what I'm bracing.
That's probably what'll happen.
I'm bracing myself for that, just because I have been.
That's probably what'll happen.
I that's where I suspect it goes, but I really, really hope that they get the main event spot. I hope, because I think that they will deliver. I think that match is going to be incredible. I think the character work has been, I think just now there's just the perfect storm of everything. And I hope it main events. I hope that Tony gives them the ball and lets them just do whatever they need to do to continue telling the story. And so fingers crossed that that's what happens. And Brad, goes back to what you were saying about the close-up. Brad said that I've been watching horror movies since I was 5 years old. I can watch men and women in death matches, but Tony's face and what Mariah did made my stomach turn in a great way.
No, they did a great job. It was awesome.
The follow-up afterwards, where you see the exclusive on social media, and Mariah just blood on her face, and she just walks through the back, doesn't say a word.
And I also appreciate the minimum for a change, where I was like, okay, now there's going to be all kinds of pearl clutching over women and blood and everything. So, to my delight, people were talking about a great wrestling angle and not about, oh my God, women can't bleed. It's like, guys, we bleed for 5 days every single fucking month from the time we're
we didn't hear. I have not.
There was almost none of. I heard virtually none. I was
the
expecting it because as they were going off air, I was like, dang it! Now I'm gonna hear all about. And one of my friends was like, that was a great angle, and I'm like, yeah, I'm sure I'm going to go to social media and all the men are going to be clutching their pearls about it. But no, I
saw one tweet, and it was from a troll.
So there you go.
Complain about it.
It doesn't count.
But yeah, and then going back to that segment after, or what transpired, and they showed on social media. So then they cut to Tony. Tony is still just, she's beside herself in what has happened to her. She had to be like literally carried. 3 people had to take her down the steps. She's crying. She can't stand on her own, and then she just drops to the ground and she just cries, and her face is covered in blood and she's crying, and there's nothing is said, and they just let you see all the emotions on their faces, and then it just cut.
And they sold the shit out of it. Oh my God, those 2 should get literal like awards. They did.
Give them Slammy Award.
Kind of funny. Give them a fake Emmy. Give them a fake Oscar.
Give them a Slammy Award. Go get Paul Walter Hauser's.
There you go.
Emmy. Go borrow it from him.
Slammy.
But yeah, it was just. I've watched it several times. Like, it's come up on, and it came up on YouTube last night, and it's probably gotten even more. But last night it was 10,000 views away from 500,000 views. Just that segment, and and it had more people finally talking about, and we've got it on our thing, but like it had more people finally signing up with us to the Women's Blood and Guts situation that we've been talking. Yeah,
there's been a bunch of us, even like let's give credit where credit's due. Our boy Jeff Hawkins has been behind the Women's Blood and Guts thing. He's been on that train with us the whole time. We love you.
He sure has.
You stay well there, but honorary broad. He's been on that train with us since the beginning. Like the 3 of us, we were like, remember, I think we came up with it one night where we were babysitting, or he was like, we need this has to happen now. And I finally saw people getting with that notion. I was like,
I did too. I saw that. Yeah, I saw it. It was funny because it even
finally made it work for people.
I don't remember exactly what the tweet was, but it was talking about a Women's Blood and Guts, and Kyle Fletcher said he was getting scared because Sky wants to do it, because he knows how much Sky wants to do it, because Sky's been she's got into hardcore matches, and the guy was like, I'm scared, because he's like, she really wants this, and he's like, I'm scared of what's gonna happen if she gets into a blood and guts match, because he's like, there's no telling what she's gonna do.
That's fantastic. But I think it's cool too, because like even the men were endorsing it, and like I love when the other talent gets on there. Like again, it always but it always helps. They have a platform. It is what it is. So it always helps when you see like Will Ospreay or Kyle Fletcher or any number of the guys that were on there. Like, did you catch the end of that Dynamite? It was amazing. Our women's division is the best division in wrestling. Like, I mean, it's I love where this is going, because they're finally like letting the girls really wrestle, not like letting them show what real, like they're letting them do Japanese wrestling, they're letting them do Mexican wrestling, they're letting them not be and they brought in really good people to help them with it. Mariah has been amazing. Mina Shirakawa, holy crap. Willow is an incredibly strong person who's wrestled all around. She's younger, but she's learning, and that's incredibly powerful woman. Like,
and going back to that, because my editor pointed it out, Tony is only 28. Mariah is 25.
I know. Someone said that, and I forgot.
Yeah, they're just like, because we've seen Tony for so long. I think that's part of it, but they are just, the women. And then you've got Thunder Rosa, who's done some of the she's been in the Lights Out matches. She just had the no DQ match. Her and Deanna are getting ready to do another big match. Like, Deanna has been really great since being here. We see Athena, and I feel like it has started with Athena. Athena and Jody Threat had that match on Dark and got people talking, and they apparently got reprimanded for it backstage, and there was no heat between the two of them. They just wanted to go out there and hit really hard, and that match turned Athena's career around. It turned her character around, and it set Athena up for what we've seen for the last 600 days. And then we've seen, and then they've seen, all right, the fans seem to like women who hit a little bit harder, and so they've increased, they've let women kind of do more of that. Then we see Sheeta, who's hitting a little bit harder. There's Lady Frost, which we talked about last week, who I think is so underrated, incredible, and she's having these excellent matches. Like, she she had a match with Stephanie the night before Forbidden Door, and it was a fantastic match. And like,
and then she had that match with Tony that was incredible.
Yeah, she's so good. I really enjoy her work. And then there's so many different women, and then you have obviously Britt is back in the fray. And it'll be interesting to see how, we talked about this last week, how does Britt step up to how this division has changed in her absence. And of course, and again, she was a part of those matches with Thunder Rosa, and she had the broken nose that became the t-shirt. Like, she's had her own moments, and I think that she can step up, but she has to step up because this division has changed a lot in the last 10 months, and it's
there's
on
a lot of talent here. She's gonna have to really up her practice. Like, she's gonna need to work hard to keep up with these women.
She's gonna have to elevate herself, and I think the feud with Mercedes can help her do that. I think it can help Mercedes. I think it can help Mercedes feel more comfortable when it comes to her promos, because Mercedes is somebody who's had her promos scripted for over a decade, and she's learning how to fill into that. And then Britt
the heel face thing worked out. It's kind of it worked itself out, and I think
Mercedes is better as a heel. She's always been. Mercedes has always been better as a heel, and so I'm glad to see her. And I think
I was sitting there, and I was like, it was always better when she was. How many times did she screw over Bayley and become like a jerk? And we all loved it. We loved Bayley, and we hated Sasha, and it was perfect. And then they became besties again, and they broke up again, and.
And they became the first WWE Women's Tag Team Champions together, and then that became a whole mess. But I'm really excited for where this could be going. And Hassan says that that for him, Tony versus Mariah should main event. There's more stakes and heat in this match than Swerve versus Danielson and a babyface versus babyface. Agreed. And then Miguel also says that the angle was so strong that they had people wanting Storm and Mariah to main event All In, and they should. I hope that they get that spot, and
it actually
on their own. I hope it's not a double main event, and I hope that if it is a double main event, that they aren't the first of the two they aren't the first match that comes out for that.
Well, there's virtually no story. I mean, there is long-term story between Swerve and Danielson.
Like the match itself is going to be fantastic.
It'll be great, I'm sure. But in terms of like paying off a storyline, that one is the better of the two.
Agreed.
And send people home happy, and like. Not that but the Danielson Swerve thing, it comes from like their long history of the career of the two of them wrestling each other, which some of you may know about and some of you may not know about, because you may or may not know that they wrestled against each other in ROH or in the Indies or whatever. So,
and I think there's also, and after we had the conversation last week, because I had said that somebody had pointed out that they should do Danielson Swerve at Wrestle Dream because it's in Washington and they're both from there.
Yeah, I
feel like that would have been the better venue for this match. Not that Wembley isn't, clearly. Wembley's not a bad place.
Well, and you get this impression it's like that they're going like, well, Danielson. I mean, I think most of us don't expect Danielson to win because he said he doesn't want to be champion.
Unless they finally...
and then they're like, it's like that. It gives you the impression it's like they're using Danielson to legitimize Swerve more. And it's like, well, can't Swerve...
Well, they just did that with Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay...
and he even kind of admitted that.
That was the match was so people would stop asking when
which I get.
And so Ospreay was trying to do him...
But he also said it was to elevate Swerve. And it was like, well, okay... But can Swerve elevate Swerve? Because
the point is, and I get, but what he means though, because the fans as soon as Swerve beat Ospreay, the next thing was okay Danielson. So the fans are driving this. Certain fans are driving this narrative that Swerve has to be the one to put himself over, and so, or that he has to be the one, he has to beat Ospreay, he has to beat Danielson to be good enough. And they have, because it's literally like, as I saw, as soon as he beat Ospreay, like within hours, I saw, okay, well then he needs to beat Danielson. And so there are fans out there who believe that in order for Swerve to be legitimate, he's got to beat these two, which is stupid.
But that's what I mean. It's like there is this like group of people, like you said, fans who believe that it's like he's not a legitimate champion unless he beats this guy and this guy. Like, he's a legitimate champion. He
just moved the goal, right?
He won the championship
Right.
after a long series of matches.
Let's just keep moving the
storyline. He won the title. He defeated his enemies and prevailed. That's legitimization. I have won the belt.
Right.
Like, why are there different measuring sticks right now?
I think
I think I can guess.
I think I know why.
I think I can. It's kind of rhetorical, but I think the point is that, like, I don't like that attitude, and I don't like the company endorsing that attitude.
I don't think they're endorsing it necessarily. I think that,
but they're not putting the kibosh on it either. So,
well, I think that was part. I think their reasoning was like. I think their reasoning is Ospreay. We can like. Swerve is good enough to beat Ospreay. They're friends in real life. Ospreay is not going to get this title. Like, we are going to go. So let's go ahead and do Swerve Ospreay and get it out of the way, and let Swerve move on to whatever is next for him. And so apparently not apparently, it is Danielson, which I don't necessarily think is the right call here. I don't know how this all unfolds. So I'm trying to let it play out. As they like to say. I feel like Hangman should have been the one. I think it should have been Hangman Swerve at Wembley. Swerve versus Danielson is going to be phenomenal. Like, that's not a question. It's where they're doing it, especially because they took away Danielson versus Nigel McGuinness for me. And the only what I'm wondering is if Nigel was not cleared. And that's why they're not, because I talked to, there's some people, they're like, all signs pointed to it being Nigel, especially because Nigel has really stepped up his hating, his antagonism, well, and they had Nigel on commentary for the match, and what I thought was how I thought this was gonna play out is Hangman was gonna win. And then Nigel was just going to start laying into Danielson and being like, I told you, Brittle Brian can't win anything. He can't win the big matches. He can't, whatever he says. And then Danielson finally hits him and was like, you know what? I'm tired of you constantly running your mouth. You've said things about my wife. Let's settle this in Wembley. You've got one more match in you. Let's do it now. And so that's how I thought it was going to play out. Then it didn't. So I'm curious if that's part of it. I mean, maybe this was the plan for a while. I don't know. And they were really heavily leaning into the stuff with Nigel.
I thought there would be something with Nigel and Bryan Danielson, but I guess not.
Seems to, so that's why I think that I'm wondering if Nigel just wasn't cleared. Because I think Wembley is because Nigel's British. He wants his final match to be in Wembley, and which I completely get. And so I felt like this is the story to do it. Because who else? I mean, who else is there? Who else do you have? Daniels? I mean, if Nigel can get cleared for one more match, I mean, sure, I guess you can bring. I mean, Danielson isn't retiring. He's just going down to part-time. So perhaps they put it off till next year. I mean, they could do that. And then, so I'm curious what happened. Well, then what's the plan for Hangman for Wembley? Like, you can't bring him back this close to Wembley for blood and guts not have him at Wembley. Like, where are you putting him? Why? What are
I don't know if you put him on Wembley or you save him for Chicago, unfortunately. Because you've got to push that show still. Because it's only 2 weeks away, and they moved it off the holiday. Right. You have got to put things on that show.
But then, if they're already holding off,
I'm not saying it's great. It's just
if they're already holding off on Hangman Swerve, do you hold it off even further than All Out at this point?
I mean, possibly, because Swerve theoretically. I mean, I'd like to see him have a decent title reign.
I hope that Swerve retains. I assume that he is. However, there is the theory that they forced Sting to have a tag title, be the tag team champions when he didn't want to be. and that's what's going to happen here. And it goes back to that tweet I told you I saw a few weeks ago that said it's the Montreal screw job, but reverse, and we're forcing Danielson to become champion. So I could see them forcing Danielson to become champion, whether he wants to or not, because they did it.
Well, especially considering that the idea here is that he's gone out of his way to say that he doesn't want to be champion, and then all of a sudden in the last 2 weeks he decided that, like, when this tournament started, he was like, all of a sudden I've decided I need one anyway, and I needed to be at Wembley.
Well, no, he said before the match last week that there was a quote from him saying he didn't think that he still said he didn't want the title as of before their match even happened last week. So I think but he's been saying this for over a year, which is because JD and I were talking about it on Twitter, and he wants to. And he was like, they're going to put the belt on him. And I was like, I was like, they might, but Danielson has said for over a year that he does not want a title. And I was like, and so that's why it made more sense to me to have Hangman win that match, put Danielson versus Nigel McGuinness, and it solves both problems. But apparently that's not the way obviously it's not the way it played out. And so JD wants to set up JD's prediction is Danielson wins at Wembley and then drops it back to Swerve at Wrestle Dream in Washington. Unless Darby is cleared, then Darby might play into that. But I was like, I mean, that's certainly a possibility, but he wants to do a new bet. Where I think Swerve wins, he thinks Danielson wins, and then he told me to set the terms. So I was like, so I gotta think about
it. You'll have to fill me in on this. I'll have
to think about it. If you guys have any suggestions, maybe I'll take those into consideration, because I don't know what the stakes will be and what will happen if I'm correct, and then what will happen if JD is correct. We have to figure that out. So we'll see how that goes. But I'll go to some of the comments about this. And so Brad says that Hangman needed to lose the other day. If he wins, there's no reason to add him to Blood and Guts. Hangman needed the loss to swallow his pride and join the Elite and to get at Swerve. I mean, yes, but what's the plan after that? Like, you can't bring Hangman back just to put him in Blood and Guts to get at Swerve via Blood and Guts. Like, there has to be more than
they're
that.
gonna have to do something with Hangman,
or
else he just
that's why
away,
I don't
right?
know. I mean, sure. I mean, I guess you're right. Maybe they just don't put him on Wembley, but they're gonna piss off a lot of people if they don't put him on Wembley.
Maybe
that's
a pretty stacked show.
That's what I keep, but it's Hangman, and the story, the biggest story is with Swerve, and people, that's what I saw. Like, after he lost, they're like, okay, then what are you doing with Hangman at Wembley? Like, what are you doing with him? You can't not have him there. And so if they don't put Hangman on that card, they're going to be
interested to know from, like, Wembley people, like, especially people in the area that are going or still holding off on going, if the having Hangman or not having Hangman on the card affects their perception of the show.
Hassan says Jack Perry versus Darby would probably do better at All Out since it's Chicago.
Agree.
I would agree with that. And then Brad said Hangman versus Okada. They do Hangman versus Renee.
There you go. That was holy cow. She almost I was like, you go, girl, you tell him.
I know. I was like, talk your shit, Renee. Tell them to put some respect on you and what you do.
You're like, excuse me, I'm doing my job. I was like, yeah.
Yes. So yeah, they did hint at Hangman versus Okada.
I like that title.
That doesn't get defended. That title that's just there. But that's why I was like, yeah. So Brad says that he doesn't think he put Swerve versus Hangman until Revolution or Full Gear. I mean, the way this is playing out, yes. But the reason I keep harping on the Wembley thing is because Swerve is the one who said, like, I found the clip. I had it quote tweeted. I found the clip from back in December where Swerve is the one who mentioned doing his match with him versus Hangman at Wembley. And so that's where it should have been going with the way it played out. But clearly that's not what's happening now. And so if you're not doing it at Wembley, then yeah, I guess you are going to have to hold it off. Full Gear makes sense because the Full Gear is named after Hangman Page. If you watch VTE, that's where the whole thing came from. So you could do that, but Revolution is your big show. Well, it's your big show to kick off the year, but
Yeah.
now you've got the Russell Dynasty show, which
In
you're clearly not
Tokyo.
going to do it there. So Revolution is your first show to kick off, and Revolution is typically where they kick off all the storylines for the year, where we see that play out. Jeremy says that to him, All In needs to have a main event about the title. Danielson and Swerve is for a title. Hangman and Swerve is about a grudge. And if you gamble that a grudge is more important than the world title. I mean, in this situation, it kind of is. But it would be. Well, but that would be for the title. Had Hangman won, it would have been the title at All In. It would have. But yes, I guess the title is secondary to that situation. So I guess that's a fair point. Hassan says the Swerve Hangman is about the title. Hangman literally tapped out to keep Swerve from the title, and he needs to take it from him. But Hangman has become obsessed to the point with Swerve where the title is secondary or even
he's not so. I mean,
so
I mean, to Jeremy's point, like this is actually something. There is a distinction there. Is that it's become an obsession with the actual person, Swerve,
right,
not the AEW championship.
Mm-hmm.
And if we are going to go with that storyline per se, then Hangman could wrestle Swerve whether he has the title or not.
Right. But that's also the point with Daniel. But that's also my point with Danielson
wins at Wembley. Maybe he wins, like maybe someone wins at Tokyo or at Full Gear or whatever, someone else. And Swerve continues to be, Hangman continues to be obsessed with Swerve, which continues to keep them relevant in the, grand scheme of things. But once you take the belt off them, I don't think the feud, once the belt is out of play, I don't know that the feud has the same, significance. And I mean, I'm not saying it's not important. I'm just saying that the significance it's more significant when one of them's a champion than it is when one of them's not.
Yeah, and then you have but that's the argument for Swerve and Danielson. Like that doesn't need to have a title because Danielson doesn't want the fucking title. So
maybe Danielson wins the title.
I thought that was another.
How about Danielson wins the title at Wembley? Hangman kicks Danielson's ass at Chicago, and then him and Swerve have a fight for the belt the rest of the year.
Yeah, but that's if Danielson doesn't, unless they put the title on Danielson, which...
That's what I'm saying, if they decide to go that route. I mean...
Yeah. Jeremy says that when Danielson made his story about the title, it was like a giant flashing billboard of the match at Wembley, even though he's been saying he doesn't want it, which is...
Although, to me, the I don't want it thing, I mean, I kind of lean towards you saying you don't want it, like...
Yes, I know Brian I know he loves to lie. I've seen that. I kept seeing that too.
Yeah. It's not even lying either. It's more than that. He loves to work.
We know that for sure. Jeremy said that Danielson doesn't have to win, but the gamble is that Tony thinks that this match is what people wanted to see. I see what you're both saying. I mean, and I see there's valid points. Like I get, you can't go wrong.
I think we're all right.
You can't go wrong with Swerve versus Danielson.
It's going to be an amazing match.
If they put the title on Bryan Danielson, I'm not going to be mad about that. I don't have an issue with Danielson being the champion. I love Bryan Danielson. I don't have a problem with that. But I feel but then does that reduce Swerve? Because that's what certain fans have been saying is, well, Swerve has to beat Will Ospreay. Well, he did that. He has to beat Danielson. So what if he doesn't beat Danielson? Does that mean that he's not a good champion, that he's not good enough, and that you invalidate his title run by having him lose to Danielson? I don't think so. But first, that argument's going to come up. And I think that I would prefer for Swerve to have the title a bit longer.
Me too.
But I also know Danielson's time as a full-time wrestler is running out. So
yeah, and having him in the canon of AEW champions wouldn't be the worst thing in the universe. I mean, if Bob Sapp gets an IWGP Heavyweight Championship, then I think that we should have a better,
I mean,
me.
Brad says that Sean Ross Sapp said Brian said to make people think Hangman was winning, the outcome was not obvious. But Brian has been talking about not wanting the title for more than a year. This isn't some brand new thing where he's just I don't need the title. He's been saying it since last year. This isn't a new development for him. It feels like people keep forgetting that. And I'm not saying Brad, but because of conversations I've had with people, and I'm like, he's been saying this, but again, he loves to lie. So maybe he's been lying this whole time to do this. But Jeremy says when Swerve and Hangman meet again, Hangman has to win. If Hangman won at Wembley, what's the vibe? Hangman winning? I don't know. I mean, I get your point. I get the question. It's valid, but I just feel like this is the venue for it to me. And then, I mean, but I guess that's like I said at the beginning, like depending on how this all unfolds, I'm sure it will all make sense when we see how everything goes. So Brad says Brian doesn't need the title as much as AEW needs Brian as part of the lineage. I mean, I guess that's fair. And Jeremy is correct that Tony did book himself into this, and it is frustrating. Yeah, clearly, as the conversation and how we are currently having.
We've always talked about Tony and booking, though. I mean, I think that he's still he's learning still. It's not as easy as it looks on the interwebs
when he's doing it for his internet federation.
Yeah, right.
And then USVA guy says never underestimate how much Tony doesn't trust Hangman. He gave him a title shot because he earned it, but because fans clamored for it from the beginning. I mean, I don't know that I necessarily agree with that statement, but
I don't disagree with it either, though.
But that's what I'm saying. It's not necessary. Yeah. I mean, that is a valid point. I would,
And I don't necessarily, my problem with some of the Hangman title reign is still booking. I don't understand the booking of a good chunk of his title reign. So I never felt like they ever elevated him as a champion because
I feel differently about that.
Because when he did stuff, he was great. But a lot of times there were things that just didn't make sense. And it was like, just let him do his thing.
Right. Which is kind of how I feel about, but you could kind of make that argument for Swerve, I think, to an extent.
Maybe all of the champions. I mean, they let Jon Moxley do whatever he wants when he's the champion.
It's Jon Moxley. So.
I mean, granted, he is Jon Moxley, and there's no doubt about it. And none of the other people we're talking about are Jon Moxley. So he can do whatever he wants with the championship. But I think that there's somewhere between Tony telling you what to do with the championship and you being Jon Moxley. There's a balance to be found where you are a legitimate champion that is wearing the AEW championship and making that belt better for it. So I don't think Hangman did anything. I don't think he did any damage to that championship, and I don't think Swerve's doing damage to it.
No.
I think that the booking is what will do damage to that for really real. They might blame the talent, but at the end of the day, the talent are doing what they're told to do.
They've both had incredible matches. I mean, I think Hangman had some really, really great matches when he was champion. I mean, and I think
we're arguing about seeing them wrestle more. Like that's a great place to be.
That's fair. That's fair.
I mean,
especially when I watch the other company and their champions barely defend their damn titles, and it's extremely frustrating. They don't and there's different things about what their stories revolve around. And Rhea's back, so I guess next week we'll see. I'll probably have some more to talk about with how that story's been going. But yeah, I mean, I guess it's a good problem to have, to be fighting over who goes where and how you're gonna have it. And again, Swerve versus Danielson's gonna be fantastic. I will be happy. I will not be mad. I would prefer Swerve to win, but if he loses, I'm not going to be mad at Bryan Danielson being an AEW world champion because it's Bryan Danielson and he's, I won't be mad at that either. And I want Hangman to be champion again. Hopefully at some point, Omega's going to be healthy enough to be back in the picture. So maybe you do have Hangman Okada here. I assume Okada retains, but maybe he'll defend the damn title more often. Which I know it's the whole point of the story with what the Elite are doing. But
that would be a good match, though.
Yeah, it would be a great match.
That would be a solid match to put together.
I think didn't Hangman and Okada
they don't have anything else, right? I mean, he agreed to do the blood and guts, but maybe they'll have some beef and.
Well, they stared each other down, and Okada didn't want to let Hangman into the locker room.
Called him a bitch. He used the word bitch like 10 times again.
And the Bucks, the Bucks had to talk Okada down and be like, "No,
that's
it's
right."
Fine.
Yeah.
So it does seem. I think Brad is right with that.
That's a good call.
I guess
that's a good
the match is good, and I'm pretty sure
have him on because then you get him on Wembley like you need.
I think Hangman and Okada, didn't they wrestle in G1?
They
I feel like
definitely
they
did.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So there's that, kind of revisiting that history with them makes sense too. But
And that'll be a good match for Wembley because the Wembley crowd will enjoy that. That's two people they love and who have played there both all over especially, I mean, again, like John met Okada, and that's just, that goes to even what we were talking about at the top of the show about those people like Rhino and Saban and Shelley, not big timing people and being like not acting like jerks. Okada was like the nicest. He like thanked them for coming, and it was like, you're the greatest wrestler in the universe. Like,
yeah, and Jeremy brings that the point that Hangman versus Jarrett again soon. Yeah, that's certainly happening. I mean,
you could do, yeah, that's.
I would not do that match at Wembley. I do
that in Chicago.
I would not do that at Wembley.
That's in Chicago. That has Chicago written all over it, actually.
I wouldn't do that match at Wembley. I don't think that's a Wembley match.
I would kind of like that for Chicago. That's a solid Chicago match.
Yeah, I could see that there. It's not, clearly that's not a Wrestle Dream match.
I mean, you're not going down south for a while, and I mean, I'm just talking about the two imminent shows we have that are 2 weeks apart.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and like we've said a million times, you've got to convince people to buy 2 pay-per-views that close together. So you've got to stack that card.
2 $50 pay-per-views in America.
Right.
2 weeks in a row.
But I would not. Yeah, Jeff Jarrett and Hangman to me is not a Wembley match, but I could see maybe All Out.
No, I would put that on Chicago and not London. Uh-oh.
Son said from Swerve for the title to Jarrett, with all due respect, this is like a punishment. That's all I was like, this is not a Wembley match. I do think there's something there. Clearly, they're leading to something. But I mean, Eddie, I've seen a lot. I've seen both. I've seen more people who want Hangman versus Swerve because of what Hangman is doing right now. They want that more. But I have seen some people complain until what happened. I saw people complaining about not wanting Hangman, but I have seen, just for me personally, in my personal timeline, what I have seen is more people want Hangman versus Swerve. But again, that's just personally what I have seen. I'm sure there's, there's other opinions out there. And again, I mean, and they were even before the stuff with Hangman, that promo he cut last week, the one that was the best. That's the best promo Hangman has ever cut. And
well, I guess I am thinking about this moment just popped into my head, is that this would be the last chance for European audience to see Bryan Danielson wrestling in
level. Not necessarily, because Danielson's only going part-time. I can see Daniel wrestling every single Wembley until he just can't wrestle anymore.
Fair.
If he's only going to wrestle like a handful of shows next year and a handful of pay-per-views, then Wembley is going to be the show that he does not skip. I think he'll be on it every Wembley until he can't.
But will he be a main eventer?
Perhaps they do. So perhaps he doesn't have to main event Wembley. He can just be.
But that's what I'm saying. This is more close to them potentially main eventing, whereas
the women better
he'll be off feature.
The women better be main eventing the show.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying. I know what you. I know. But I think we need to just historically speaking, knowing what we know about Tony's booking and his card lineup.
But he has been very involved in this story with Tony and Mariah. He gives a shit about the story. This is the one woman story. It's the one woman story. Besides Athena and
right.
Billy,
he has been really involved in it. It could happen.
That's the one women's match that he has given a shit about. He's put a lot into the storyline. So I feel like this might be the one. But as we have said, Tony drops the ball with the women a lot, and so
a big damn deal. I mean,
I am.
Plus or minus.
I am cautiously optimistic that this will be the match to headline, but I am bracing myself for this to be called a double main event, and that the women are the first of the two. That's what I'm bracing myself for, because I know better, and I would love to be pleasantly surprised and then just have them main event all together. And so, as I guess we are getting ready to wrap this up, make sure that you subscribe to the Fight Game Media YouTube, especially because, as Jeremy, who is here, Jeremy was at Fantastica Mania yesterday with some other people from Fight Game Media, and I'm sure they're going to have a lot to say about the show yesterday. I heard some really good things. I heard that Suji versus Barbaro, I think it's Barbaro. I think that's how you pronounce Barbaro. I may be saying his name wrong. And I've seen him one or two other times. He was really good. I heard their match was incredible. And I've seen some people say that was Suji's best match that he's ever had.
Nice.
And so I was like, and people have said to go out of your way to watch that one. And I heard that. And of course, obviously, Bad Dude Tito. We love the big teats here.
Love the big teats.
Yes, and of course the big G1 show. Obviously, yes.
Oh, that's right. The preview. That'll be your preview show.
I didn't even put it. Yeah, I was like, Jeremy and Steven are gonna definitely have you covered.
Guys, make sure you subscribe. It's Thursday at 5:30 Eastern. That'll be G1 preview. Steven and Jeremy will have you covered. Maybe Chris Sampson's got a fun little engine that he built,
right?
For pick'ems, and I think I'm going to do it. He did an amazing
I haven't looked too much into it, but I saw that he had something, and he was talking about.
He put it together. It's supposed to be really awesome, and you can fiddle with it until the time that you can change your picks right up until the time he's got it set up to lock at the time that the tournament starts. So you can get your picks in there and plug them in, and it's really easy. And John really encouraged me. He said, I filled mine out and you should too. It'll be, because usually we do physical brackets, but he said he did Chris Sampson did such a nice job on this that, and if John is putting it over, it's worth it. So people should check it out.
Jeremy,
and you can fiddle with
Jeremy who won the bracket. Was it last year Jeremy won the bracket?
Yeah, he won last year, I believe.
It was last year, right? Not the year before. Yeah, it was last year. So Jeremy's going to be going in. He's got to be defending that title.
It sounds like a lot of fun, and you can fiddle with it right up until the time the tournament starts. Cool. So that if you have your 18,
I have to look into that. That sounds like fun.
Plus, that's great because it's on the computer, and I tend to have to I have to do my brackets in pencil because I erase and change things around before that anyway. So that works for me.
Right.
But it's for those of you who are in our Discord, just check out social media. I think he's got it up on his social as well.
Yeah, it is on his social media. I saw it on his Twitter a couple of days ago. I saw something
that was a labor of love. He did not have to do that, so that was really cool.
Yes, Hassan. I hope Takeshita. I hope that. I hope Takeshita kills it because
Takeshita is strong.
That match with Tommy Billington last night was so good. I mean, Takeshita, but his match with Tommy Billington was very, very good. Nice. I can't wait to see. And they're doing, because Takeshita versus Suji Takeshita versus Suji. Isn't that the first match? Not the first match, but that's on the first show, I believe, right? I think so.
Gosh,
I was like, they're just coming right out of the gate with these matches. Oh no. Jeremy says post wrestling and sport or pro wrestling contested. Oh, yes, that's correct. Yes, it was post wrestling's, not Chris Sampson's bracket last year.
I think he might have made this one just for this year. So
gotcha. Okay. Jeremy says Takeshita is a lock in to go to post block play. Yeah.
All right.
I'm really looking forward to
what I like to hear.
I cannot wait to see him. And
it'd be great for him.
Since poor Ishii is not in the G1, we do have the Summer of Ishii happening at AEW because Tony tweeted the other day. And then my friend said, where is Toriano and why do we not have him?
Yeah, right. Let's go. He has DVs to pedal in the US.
Yeah. I'm excited for a Summer of Ishii, and he's gonna do some fun stuff. Roddy's been talking. Roddy was already talking trash about him, but last night it was distracting me because I'm trying to type out what's happening, but I was listening to Roddy's on commentary and I kept laughing. And so we'd have to rewind it because he was calling him a peanut head. And I don't know why, it just made me laugh. It was very childish, but it made me laugh really hard with his little peanut head. And then Peanut Head came out there last night. And so I guess they're setting up. I guess Roddy's gonna. Maybe Ishii's gonna be on some Ring of Honor. Maybe Roddy is gonna win this title and then he's gonna defend it, and Ishii is gonna. But if they put the ROH title on Ishii if he's gonna be here.
Well, they will certainly keep people from leaving the tapings if they do that sort of thing.
I would think so. Jeremy says that he thinks that Takeshita will beat Tsuji night 1. Ooh,
that would be very
That's
interesting.
how you set the tone for the tournament.
Yeah, totally.
As far as because Tsuji, I think is somebody who we've love Tsuji. I just
we've
think
all talked about it.
But I think that this will be a big tournament for Tsuji, and if Zack Sabre Jr. does not win, I think that Tsuji is a favorite for a lot of people. But I think so having Takeshita beat him out of the gate would be huge for Takeshita. Yeah, Hassan says Tsuji saying him and Takeshita will lead this generation of wrestlers. Damn right. Please.
Okay. Sounds great. I have no problem.
Yeah, I heard Jake Lee. I heard he's done with Noah, and I think he was already done with Noah, but that he joined the War Dogs, and that he's saying not to push Jake Lee. And then apparently Jeremy said he's got some bad news. Man, I want this Tsuji versus the SJ in the finals, and then I want them both to win and just be co-champions.
Agreed.
I mean, I love Tsuji. I think I want Zack to be champion. I want him to be the one. But
we have been listening to our George Michael, and we have been watching our technical wrestling, but I don't know. I want it. It's so bad. I'm so ready for Zack to have that thing, but
me too. But on the other hand, if they are really pushing the young, finally actually pushing the young, because as Steven said, he's been burned by that before.
Yeah.
Thinking that they were finally going to push the young guns, and then they didn't. But if they are serious about that, then I don't think you can't go wrong with Tsuji. I think Tsuji is he's definitely the one that could be the guy. I just really want Zack Sabre Jr. to have that title. I don't want him to consider his career a failure just because he doesn't win the G1 and the title. I mean, I get it. I know that's his motivation and all that stuff, but
really I know they'll probably push him. I mean,
that's the whole point of him being there, right?
I mean, but I get it. I mean, I understand what they're saying.
I don't. Yeah, I know. I don't know a whole lot about Jake Lee, and I've heard some positive things. I hear more negative things about him.
It wasn't it doesn't feel like a big loss to Noah, considering how much talent they have, and how many.
Yeah.
But I'm not surprised that New Japan would pick him up because they need everything that they can get, and he has at least a following for whatever it's worth. I mean, again, I'm still my Noah knowledge is only about 6 months old, so I feel pretty young,
right.
But
more knowledge than I have.
All the other people that are on there and that are making waves in terms of being successful, he's not someone that I see in the bigger, he's not no big loss. But also,
that's kind of how I've heard it too. That it's just not it's not.
But they probably will push him in New Japan. They'll try anyway because of the stealing from the other stealing from the other company thing, and
they push some other questionable people sometimes in New Japan too.
But we'll see how the New Japan people react to him, I guess.
God, apparently Brad really hates Jake Lee.
Wow! Ouch!
God, listen, Sonata doesn't deserve that kind of slander.
My goodness, Jake Lee is the worst Sonata. At least Sonata is I can't watch. Oh, he is good in the ring. He has negative charisma. Yeah.
Jerry says Lee is heel Sonata, and I love it. Why is Sonata getting dragged into this? Sonata's just minding his own business.
I get it. I get it because Sonata has
soy milk. I mean, his oat milk, his oat milk lattes that he gets from Starbucks that he snaps every single day, and his the story.
We all believe that he was like somebody else. I don't dislike him. He couldn't get there.
He couldn't, but that doesn't. He doesn't
deserve
this type of slander. Good Lord, it's not like he's Yoshihashi from 5 years ago.
No. I'm
my poor Yoshihashi.
Listen, I am not gonna it's as long as it's not like Fale or something. I'm good. So.
No, as long as it's not Chase Owens. Good God.
Yeah, right.
Jeremy said they were wrestlers trying to make the word fetch happen, and USVA. Thank you, USVA. I love Sonata. Thank you. I'm glad I'm not the only
I don't
one.
have any real
Love
hate for
Sonata.
Sonata. He's
I
cool.
love him.
I wanted him to be
He's
champion when he
pretty
was.
to look
He
at.
just it was what it was.
He was yeah. I mean, there could have been, but some of that is on Evil. I mean, on Ghetto for his booking.
Yeah, they were
Some of
plus
that
the,
I mean,
the
yeah,
lack
some
of,
of it. Yeah, there's just a.
well, they just didn't catch up with the pandemic stuff. So they were. I mean, he was set. It wasn't. Nothing was really set up for success. They weren't letting people back in the buildings. They weren't letting people cheer. It was.
Brad, who are you talking about? Are you talking about Sonata or Jake Lee?
I think he's talking about Jake Lee, but I could be wrong.
God. Man, Brad's coming for Nigel's Hater of the Year award over here.
You're gonna start calling him like all kinds of funny
Jake Lee.
digger. He's calling Brittle Brian. Stupid Sonata.
Jeremy said I was happy Sonata got the opportunity, but we saw what he did. Yes,
yeah,
I agree with that.
That's a better way to put it. I think he just didn't.
I think Sonata does have emotion. It wasn't ready. I mean, he had to find it. We saw it at Wrestle Kingdom this year. Sonata has the emotion when it's the right. When he has the right.
The problem is when he comes to America, he like doesn't give a F. Like when
they put him against Jack. But they put him against Jack Perry, and Jack Perry wasn't doing shit at the time. So
I know, but he didn't even
that
try
match
in the other show.
Sonata should have gotten somebody other than Jack.
I mean,
Perry,
that was all the way around. That was booked bad all the way around. That was nobody's particular fault. But
Sonata shouldn't have got that. Was just too. All they did is put two attractive dudes in that match. Listen, Brad,
I love you so much.
He said my coffee is. Why are we just out here slandering poor Sonata?
Poor
He's just
Sonata.
minding his oown business. Damn.
Sonata slander Sunday. Triple S.
Not on my watch.
I'm sorry. My coffee is burnt. Isn't an emotion. It is hilarious, Brad. Thank you for that.
Brad's a damn hater.
It's okay, but he's hilarious. Hatred is okay. It's the toxic kind that we don't.
Poor old Sonata, just minding his own business, trying to drink.
Taking the piss out of someone, it's fine. It's when you're being a negative Nelly and you're being toxic that you don't get to play.
Poor old Sonata. He's probably like, what did I? He's that gif of 50 Cent. So what did I do, Sonata? What did I do? I
leave Sonata alone.
I know. He said USVA guess do not underestimate Sonata in the G1 this year. I won't.
All right. Watch him make all of us look a fool.
Brad says that Doki is the real leader of Just Five Guys.
Agreed. 100%.
I mean, but Doki's awesome. Doki rules.
But yes.
Oh, poor Sonata.
Brad, it's
well, every time that Sonata, if he loses his matches, I'm just gonna say it's because his coffee was burnt.
It's emotionless loss because of my burnt coffee.
Y'all stop.
I love you all. Thank you so much for coming, joining our show and chatting with us.
Just slandering the hell out of Sonata.
And good fun.
We went from Jake Lee. Poor old Sonata. So Jeremy said he was actually sad Mystico got the finish last night because I wanted my suplex to Luna or De La Luna. Well, damn it.
Well, now
Jeremy what he wanted.
I'm sorry, man.
That sucks. Boo.
We don't like that either. Downvote.
We don't.
0 stars. Do not recommend.
But yes, so we were trying to wrap this up 10 minutes ago, and then it turned into Sonata Slander Hour.
That's all right.
He said, best finish in the biz. Look it up.
I will. I believe you.
Mystico rules, though. I really like him.
Jeremy knows what he's talking about. I believe.
I know he did. I hope the show was fun yesterday. At least it sounds like it was It sounds like it was a good show that had some good matches on it, and never go wrong seeing Zack Sabre Jr. and Big Teats.
True story. That's a great.
Apparently, they have big teats in some weird MLW storyline. I know he's Selena De La Renta's client, but apparently they're doing a who's her daddy storyline.
Oh
apparently.
God! Can we stop with that?
Yeah, apparently that's what's happening over there. I was like, please just leave him and please just leave him.
Why are there so many people with daddy issues?
Well, wrestling is full of them. Jeremy said hot as balls that had a blast. I'm glad that you did. I was at a show last Friday.
That I know balls. It's like 900 billion degrees out there. It's either on fire actually, or the air just is so hot it feels like you're on fire.
Yeah,
or you're under like 1 million pounds of
Wednesday
water.
Or Thursday is supposed to be 100 here, and that's without the heat index. We've been having heat indexes of 100 or more for like 2 weeks, but I can only imagine we're supposed to actually hit triple digits this week. So I can only imagine.
It's supposed to be like 90. It's supposed to be feel 100. The problem here is the dew point gets up into the 70s and it becomes so flippin' humid that if the sun
yesterday was really humid here.
If the sun comes out, it turns into it's like walking through hot water air. It's like being in a steam room.
Yeah, it sucks. Like, make sure you're drinking your water, please. Stay hydrated, everybody. Stay hydrated, and
please stay hydrated. And if you start feeling weird, actually drink water, because that could be it. When it's like that, it will sap you without you even realizing it.
Yeah, that's the type of heat that makes you feel like exhausted.
It's sucking water out of you, even if you don't feel like it.
I had a friend who was affected by that lives in Texas and was affected by Hurricane Beryl. Didn't have power from 6 a.m. Monday until sometime Friday, and
they're dealing with the heat there too.
He was saying that it was so hot, and it was like the air was stifling, and it was like he was like, I couldn't even focus to read. That's how hot it was.
Yeah, it actually does.
Like, I basically just had to sit there.
Finally, people are covering the neurological effects of heat. Your body is working so hard to keep your core temperature down that it affects your neurons. So what your brain is doing is it's reorganizing all your neurons to keep your core temperature down. Well, that's going to affect everything else: driving, walking, thinking, processing, doing your work. Yeah. So, like, I mean, we're all experiencing extreme weather, so stay hydrated, try to stay air conditioned, hang in there, folks. We know it's tough out there, but there's good wrestling and good people like you joining us every week, which we greatly appreciate.
Yes, and so like we said, there besides the amazing G1 show to look forward to, Thursday, there's also the Dynamite show. There's Joy of Wrestling. There's Five-Star Joshi. There's and then if you follow wherever you get your podcast, there's the Wrap, who are diligently covering WWE for you. There's all kinds of stuff. There's sometimes Garrett goes live over here. Make sure you subscribe. Then after you subscribe here, make sure you go follow City Championship Wrestling that we were joined by Cat Daddy earlier today. And so make sure that you go follow them.
That will be Friday 7/19. I believe bell time is 8 p.m. in Livonia, Michigan, at the Knights of Columbus Hall. And I'm giving that shout out because that's the old Evolve Hall. So if you're someone who's in the area and familiar with the old Evolve Hall, it's back. Yay!
And then we should have a guest coming on next Sunday. They have been out of town for the last couple of weeks, and so the plan is for it to be next Sunday. So we should have a guest coming to join us to talk about some cool stuff. And as always, thank you for hanging out with us. Thank you for being in the chat. And if you're not in the chat, that's okay too. We appreciate your support. And if you're watching on the replay, thank you. And we hope that you all have a good week.
We do indeed. Thank you.